Recording in progress.
Brighten up the screen a bit.
Hey, Professor. I think there's an
Hey, yeah,
option.
someone called me.
I think there's an option in Zoom to have it when everyone's muted when they join in. I can't
Oh, yeah,
recommend that.
to automatically mute everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys are all well behaved, so why would I need to mute you guys?
Background noise.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. But you know, last week was Tuesday. I think Ashley couldn't listen, couldn't hear what we were saying. That was the only disturbance we had. Any case, if you guys feel that there's too much feedback or other distracting noises, let me know, and I can just do whatever is needed. Mute. Right. All right. Well, welcome back. Hey, Walter, welcome back again. So thank you all for making the class. Yeah, is this? Well, I think more people are going to join. There you go, more people coming in. Yeah. Hey, Alexis is connecting to her audio. Let's just make sure. Alexis, are you there? Yeah. Hey, last class, I think you had your microphone on, and then you were talking to your friends, and then we said to mute, but you couldn't hear it because there was a lot of. So just be a little careful. Better, because if you're going to be talking, also you may actually talk about solutions to quests, right? You may give out information that you don't want to give out. Okay. All right, so did everybody get a chance to read through module zero and get to grips with data representation? Now, what we can do today is the last class. We're going to be doing data representation, okay? Next week onwards, we're going to be doing a lot of coding, huge amount of coding. Doesn't matter if you never coded in your life before, or even C++. In fact, never coded in my life before, and I'm going to learn by starting with C++, okay? That would be a very brave move to make, and even those people will actually be hugely successful through this class, okay? Meaning that you won't have a problem if you just approach the subject saying, no, it's just a new thing that I got to pick up, okay? Because that's all it is, really. People talk, even out there, if you go to Stack Overflow and any of these online forums, people are talking about C++ as though it's a different kind of thing altogether, right? Say, oh, C++ is hard, you got to be, and it has these pointer management and memory, or you have to use a later version of C++, which does automatic smart pointers and things like that for you. Yeah, none of that really makes any sense, because those things that people are complaining about are basically fundamental discipline habits, okay? Fundamental disciplinary habits that all programmers should pick up, not just C++ programmers. All programmers should pick up C++. Just make sure that you pick up those habits before you learn the rest of programming. That's all, okay? So you can learn Python, Java, JavaScript, any other language you want, but you're never, ever going to be a top-notch programmer until you pick up the critical elements of programming in all of those languages. And I've said this before, I think, in all of these other languages, you can get by without having to learn the critical elements, which means that you can get a decent paying job, okay, and be reasonably happy without having to know everything. But that means that's all you'll ever be, right? So you can't go to the next level, because the next level requires you to understand all of the material really, really solidly. And the tragedy of going down the other path is for people who say that, I just want to get enough and stop there. But it's okay to get enough and stop there, but you shouldn't want to go more than that. But the problem is, a lot of people want to learn more, want to find out more, want to get more involved in the development of something, but they find that they're unable to do that beyond a certain point. There's this glass ceiling, and it can go. And people say, well, you know what, I can never get up there, and because those are, that's the exec team or things like that. No, it's actually it's not like that. Those people learned something that is not required for you to learn in order to get your paycheck. So a lot of people don't learn it because it's not required for them. But the ones who actually do learn it just keep going on, and because anything you learn you want to put to use. And that is the basic principle here. So C++ is like that. It front loads all the hard work. And again, it's not a huge amount of hard work. It's that's the other thing I want to say. People always make this big fuss about, it's really hard to learn, even at Foothill, right? You see, Foothill, I talk to students and I look at Reddit sometimes, not just our Reddit. I look at the Foothill Reddit and also other forums where Foothill students are talking. Sometimes I was participating in some Discord. So some of the students invited me to some Discord meetings and all, because you have Discord meetings outside of Reddit. And even there, I noticed that there's this feeling towards C++ compared to other languages, saying that everybody thinks that it's harder. It is not harder, okay? It is as easy as any other programming language, because you're going to be learning exactly the same stuff. The only thing that C++ says that you're going to be learning programming, just make sure you learn it the proper way so that you can enjoy it. So in order to enjoy programming downstream, you just need to pick up these little facts here and there, right? And so that you can apply those later and then get these bigger concepts nailed into your head. That's all. So data representation, this is the last class. The next class onwards, I'm hoping that every single one of you, okay, last quarter, I think the first quarter I ran it, not everybody got a chance, but then the last quarter and the quarter before, you can go and look at all the videos that we have on YouTube. Every single student in my class got a chance to come up and code on screen, okay? And many of them are asking for many repeated tries, repeated opportunities to code. But of course, there's so many students, so everybody will get at least one chance, I hope, right? One chance. That will also count for points. And but points is the least of your worries, okay? Don't worry about points when it comes to online coding. When you're coding online, you're not doing it for the points. You have to code it just to get past that barrier. It's like stage fright. People who are learning to talk in public, right? Public speaking, what is it? Classes, I don't know, classes or things like that. I remember, because when I was in elementary school, was it elementary school? So somewhere in the small classes. And I was public speaking. I said, I want to do public speaking. I want to be the drama club and all that stuff. And they got me up on stage and said, okay, well, here's your passage, do it and speak it. And I remember, because I know the feeling of butterflies in your stomach. I know how it feels when so many people are looking at you and you have to talk, and you have that grouping fear in your head saying, oh my gosh, there's so many people looking at me. If I say the wrong thing, that's like, instead of one person thinking I'm stupid, there's 500 people going to think I'm stupid, okay? And that is the feeling, essentially, that basically bubbles up. And butterflies in your stomach, meaning so many butterflies out there, they're all in your stomach. You can tolerate one butterfly when you're talking to one person. You're saying, oh, I'm going to say stupid things, but I can afford it because I'm never ever going to see that person again. But if you have so many people, it starts. And so what happens is that the trick to overcome that, that's what I used. Okay. So when maybe someone taught it to me when I was doing this in school, public, what was it, drama club or something like that. I think maybe it was a monologue in a drama club. And back in 5th grade or 6th grade. And then the teacher, I remember the teacher's name. His name was Krishna Raj, okay? And Krishna Raj, and we were in my school back in India, and it was and we were auditioning or trying to play an English play. There's plays in different languages happening, and I signed up for this English play, and I think they picked up Hamlet or something like that, Hamlet, and then there was a piece that I wasn't Hamlet, no, Macbeth, right? I wasn't Macbeth. But there was this famous monologue by Macbeth, I think, to be or not to be. Yeah. Okay, and if you do Hamlet at all in public, that has got to be there. You know, even if you condense the whole play down to 10 minutes, you'll have at least that in there, because that is a centerpiece of many of these performances, I think. Some of these scenes, right? And so I remember the person who was playing Hamlet and Macbeth, and Krishna Raj was looking at him, and he was so affected, and he was missing a lot of lines. And then he said something. He said, "You don't have to worry about reproducing exactly what Shakespeare said. Doesn't matter. Okay. The first thing to do is just get comfortable. So just understand what he was trying to say and say it in your own words. You can even insert things that Shakespeare forgot to put in, right? Maybe there were some really cool things he should have said and he forgot. And so you can say that too. No problem, because it is your scene and you're the head. You're the, the hero, or you're the control of the stage. You have everything. Just say what you want. And it doesn't matter if all these people out there watching the play think it was a lousy performance. Okay, well, you know what? The next time you're going to do it better. And it's not like those people haven't watched lousy performances, and they're not going to think badly of you, because they know that if they were in the same situation, they're going to do the same kind of thing. Okay, so the thing is to just, so how do you get past it? And so he said, he said, how do you get past it? And he said, the only way to get past it is to basically try it. Keep trying it repeatedly so that you inure yourself to the feeling. Meaning, it's not bad, but so you should not inure yourself to things that are going to damage you, right? Because you can say, well, I'm going to drink a lot of booze on Friday nights. Okay, and Saturday you get a splitting headache or hangover. You don't want to talk to anyone, and it's bad. And someone says, you know what? You're having all these bad reactions to alcohol because you're a first-time drinker. Okay, you're not used to this. So keep drinking every single day and have a hangover every single day, and pretty much you'll find that you're inured to it, because you start expecting it, and it'll fade into your background. You can learn to look past it and conduct your daily life. And I actually know, I have the misfortune of knowing one or two people, not in my life, one or two people who actually went down that road. And they said, well, I'm going to inure myself to this bad feeling so I can go back to functioning as a normal adult, even though I'm completely drunk. It's never possible, right? And then they basically ruin their lives. So that's a damaging thing that you inure yourself to. You should never do that. But however, my teacher said there are things that are not damaging to you, but you can still inure yourself against them. Now, the trick is to find out which ones are difficult for you, but are good for you or not damaging to you. Okay, that's all, especially good for you. So if you find out if something is good for you, but it's really, really hard, then that is a fantastic candidate for you to keep hitting repeatedly, again and again and again, right? Play the same piece 5,000 times, right? You have to commit it to my muscle memory. Most of these things, even intellectual stuff, has to be part of brain muscle memory. What I mean by brain muscle memory is that the electric fields are still happening, the chemical reactions or whatever it is, it's still happening in your brain. But it's not in your memory, it's not in your consciousness anymore, right? So it's just happening, it's been relegated to some automatic process in your brain. And so the stuff is just bubbling up so that the conscious part of your brain is now free to think about the more consequential and the logical and the critical aspects of the problem, so that it can just delegate these things to. So all these people who want to become managers and vice presidents and CEOs and leaders of countries and universes, what they should do is the 101 in leadership, leadership 101 essentially is trying to manage our own skills, how to get the most out of what we already have. When you find out how you can get the most out of what you already have, then you can easily get the most out of anyone, right? You can manage a team of thousands of people, right? Hierarchical, obviously, you can't manage everyone, right? So you can manage any number of people because each one is talent. Everyone brings something new to the table, right? And so they're all skill sets you have to merge, and you have to be wise enough to say, well, these million things need to get done for this, and everything is really juicy, and I would really like to do every one of those if I had the opportunity, but I'm not going to do all of those because I know, right? It is going to be fun, but if I do everything, I know I'm not going to complete the project. So I'm going to have to detach myself and from the little pleasures of these things. And I'm going to give these to people who are learning them so that they can come to do what I'm doing now. So you get to be good at delegating these things. And I believe that delegating things to other people is exactly the same as, delegating things to within different skill sets inside of your own mind, because you pick up lots and lots of skill sets as you get older and older. And when a skill becomes so deeply ingrained in you, it stops being part of your conscious processing. And it basically just delegated to subconscious processing, which means that you can do a whole lot more work by identifying bits that need to get done and basically saying that's the procedure I'm going to follow for that. Okay, I've done that, I know how to do that, and so on and so forth. You can concentrate on this, and then you can just plug in the different things and it's ready to go, right? Same approach. And so data representation, coming back to data representation, it is a key piece of knowledge that should be part of every single programmer's inventory of skill sets out there. And it's not. You can go, right? You can talk to people out there, other than, the top programmers at the top software companies. You can find out, there's 100 million startups out there, and many startups have software engineers, and you can see, right? You can see the quality of the engineers by just asking them questions about data representation. They don't know. Many of them don't know, but they know how to take a Python library and hook it to some other Python library and insert Java hooks in there and get something to happen. Okay, they know that. But many of them actually don't know how a database actually does a join, how these things happen and all, right? So that is why data representation is so key. And I have many more stories, right, of how, around data representation and how these things happen from my days in the industry and things like that. And I will fill these in, over time, over the quarter. But so don't shortchange yourself, okay? This is not a freebie week. A lot of people think, 2B also, 2B and 2C also, they're supposed to be working on the blue and green quest this week, but only a few people are. Some of them have actually gone past and done some really cool stuff. But the first week is not a freebie week. It is supposed to be the week when you catch up on stuff that you're already supposed to have learned coming into class. That's all, okay? And people who make the mistake of thinking, it's a freebie week, I don't have to do anything. Next week is when the first assignment starts. They're basically, they'll have to work very, very hard, I think, right? Very hard later on in class. And even they may even end up with a grade that they're not happy with. So why do all that? Okay. So what we'll do today is, if you have any specific questions regarding data representation, any topic in data representation, whether it's in module 0 or out of module 0, out there in the real world, doesn't matter. Just bring it up and we'll, take a crack at it together on screen. Hey, Zanshu, you mentioned another name on Canvas, that Joshua, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I can call you Zanshu. What do you want?
Just Joshua. It's fine. It's okay.
Okay, all right. The reason I said that is because Joshua is the name that comes up on my Zoom, but I can call you Josh. Joshua. Right. So you have a question. I'll come back to you in a sec. Okay, Joshua.
Okay.
You raised your hand. I remember that. So here's what we'll do. Any data representation problem, starting with bits and bytes, different kinds of bases, base 1, base 2. Base 1 is possible too. Is base 1 possible? All right, that's something interesting for you guys to noodle on, okay? Is base 1 possible, okay? So base 1 and then base 2 and base 3 and all, okay? So we have base 2, which is binary, base 3, base 8, which is also, popular, not that popular, hexadecimal, base 16. Base 10 everywhere around the world. That's what we're used to, right? We go to a grocery store, our bill, everything is in base 10. So we're used to base 10. So there are all these bases you need to know. How to convert from one base to another is actually super duper easy. And I can show you if you already don't know. It's basically just converting is only a problem when we are stuck on the superficial representation of numbers, right? Or even, translating from one language to another. Also, exactly the same, isn't it? Mathematics or language, even if you're translating from one language to another, it's a problem if you don't manage to go below the syntactical superficial representation of the language into the semantic space that is deeper. So you have to understand exactly what that language says in order to be able to translate that into something else. Because, in English, for example, take English, there's so many figures of speech, idioms, right? So you can say, I flew in this car, I flew to Foothill College or something like that. It's an idiom. You don't really fly, right? Your flew means it's fast, but people know, people who speak English know that's what you mean. But you can translate that into Chinese or Tamil or some other language and exactly word for word, it's not going to work. So you need to understand what's below in order to be able to do a good job here. And how does it relate to computer science? The data representation. Yeah. So converting from one base to another, if you just say, this is a sequence of digits in hexadecimal, and you convert that into a sequence of digits in tens, base 10, much harder. Okay. So the better way to do it is to say, well, you know what, this is hexadecimal, and it's a whole bunch of mush, letters that tell me what this number is. But I'm not going to be stuck with a superficial representation. I want to go to the deeper representation to understand exactly what it is. So I'm not looking for 532 like that. I'm looking for the quantity 532. So, right? Which means, how is 532 actually represented in my brain? In my brain, is 532 represented as neurons in the shape of 5, 3, and 2? Right? There's no shape 5, 3, 2 in my head. It's actually a quantity. It's a quantity that is stored in my head as 532. And so in order to convert that 532 into a different base, into base 27, base 16, base 5, any base you want, all you need to do is just get past that and say, well, what does it actually mean? What is that quantity? Once you get to the quantity, you can just, bubble it back up into any other base. That's all. Okay. So base conversions, we can do as many of those, hopefully not much. You can do them on your own too. Two's complement, okay, something that trips people up. I'm not going to do conversions. Hopefully, I'm not going to do. We can do 1 or 2 conversions if you want, but basically, the concept of two's complement. Okay, the concept is the most important thing. Once you understand the concept is exactly the same. Whether it's two's complement or tens complement, and again, it's all So that concept is exactly the same. So we can talk about two's complement. We can talk about floating point representation. ASCII, you already know. I think ASCII is basically just taking these bits and saying these chunks of bits are representing these letters A, B, C, D, and so on. Okay, so that's all there is to data representation, but that's not all there is, because that is just the superficial aspect. So you have to take the superficial aspect and say, well, okay, now these are all the things that I need to cover. Let me look at what's under each of these. Okay, so and then that is why you have this module 0. That's why you have this wealth of information on the internet. You go to the internet and say, well, I want to understand base 6 or base 8. Right, we pick a random base, and I'm pretty sure. Can you count in base 314? Right, and go and Google. I'm pretty sure some guy out there will say, hey, here's base 314. Here's how you do it. I don't know. Odds are very low, but some of the common bases will be out there. I'm pretty sure people have done that. People have probably also written JavaScript, web-based applications where you can say, I'm going to input a number in this base. I want to convert that to that base. Okay, and it's happening in real time. Bang, bang, bang. As you type, it's converting that. Well, and I can show you how to do these things too. Okay, these are all very easy, and you'll have fun. Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll do problem after problem today. Next week onwards, hopefully, you will volunteer to say, when we start class next week, we're going to start coding. Next week we'll start with Hello World, right? A very simple program, and then we'll take that Hello World that you're going to write and slowly start embellishing it with bells and whistles. Okay, so you're gonna say, hey, hello world, it says hello world. Now let's make it do a little bit more. Okay, so we'll say, perfect, hello world, but let's make it, before it says hello, let's make it ask for your name, so that it'll say, hey, what's your name? Okay, and then Adam, hey, where's Adam? Or some of the people have disappeared. Oh, maybe they've gone to the other screen. Oh, you guys are also jumping around in the same screen. Why is that? I noticed this before with Zoom, because once a screen has been filled with people, it shouldn't move those people around, right? Even if it's adding one more person to the end, it shouldn't just shuffle everything. Okay, yeah. Like Adam was here where Darshana was, and then he's gone. I don't know. Adam, where are you? Adam. Anyway, so I might say, Adam or Alec or Ashley, Hillary, right? So I might say, why don't you come and code, right? And all you have to do is just be prepared to have a laptop connected to the Zoom and the internet, and all you have to do is just share screen. share your screen. Like who was it? Someone shared the screen last class? Will. Where's Will? William. Is William here? William?
Yeah, I'm here, but I didn't share my screen
Oh, there
last
you
time.
are. Okay. Yeah. Oh, you didn't share the screen last class with an iPad? Oh, you didn't have the iPad. Someone else did. Who shared the screen last class? You know, you're
I
typing.
think it was Aldo.
Aldo, yeah.
Aldo, yeah, thank you, Aldo. Yeah, okay. Hey, Joshua, you had a question, right? So ask your question, and after that, we'll start looking at problems and that either you can work on without me being involved, or I can be involved also. And even if I'm not here, well, Walter is here, okay? Although he'll also try and be as as quiet as possible to not not take your fun away. So you shouldn't depend on either of us, but he's there, right? And I'm also there. So we'll do that even today and next class also. Next class we'll do coding, but today we'll do conversion problems and things like that. Okay. Hey, Joshua, what is your question?
Yeah, so you just asked us, do we have any questions about the data representation? And I feel like a little bit confused about the choose complement part. So can we discuss that?
Sure. Yeah, no worries. I can talk briefly about two's complement before we start implementing, or before we start working over some examples, right? And the examples don't have to be only with two's complement. The examples can be with sign magnitude notation, floating point, because the floating point is the other thing that students have struggled with in the past. Okay, the two's complement and floating point are the only two things that people have struggled with, I think, because other things, the other, converting from one base to another, most of the students pick up really quickly. But two's complement, because it's not right in front of your eyes, is important. So we'll absolutely do at least. No, I'll explain the concept behind two's complement. Okay, really briefly, and before we go on, how many of you would like that? Please raise your hand. I think what time is it now? Now I'm gonna, because I've explained this every single quarter. I've explained two's complement. So I've done it how many quarters now, right? So many quarters. So I'm not going to try and take up too much time. I'm going to try and condense this explanation of two's complement without using a whiteboard or anything. Okay, I'm going to do with hand wavy. Okay, this is something that math teachers tell you never to do, right? So when you get a math problem, they say, well, you know what? Don't give me hand wavy proofs. Okay, hand wavy proofs means it's not precise. You can't button it down. You can't prove it 100%. Hand wavy is like that. But today, two's complement, all these things, I'll explain that using hand wavy, but still, I think it'll be as precise as possible. Meaning that hand wavy, but you can translate that into precise notation on your own without anybody's help. That meaning that you would have understood it that much. Okay, so I'll do that. How many of you would like well, I'm going to offer two options. Okay, either how many of you would like for me to explain two's complement, or even better, and it's okay if you don't want to do it. How many of you would like to explain two's complement to the whole class, including Joshua, right? So you explain your understanding of two's complement, and I'll be there, and Walter will be there. I'll be listening, and if there's things that need a minor correction here and there, and I'll step in. I'm not going to whack you down and say, well, that's wrong. No, even if you say something wrong, I'll say, well, I'll just say, well, that's a great idea. But if you do that, how will you tackle that particular case? Right? Because that's how everything happens, right? There's no stupid ideas. There are ideas that work in some places. The same idea may not work in some other place. Okay, so just because it doesn't work in that place, it's not a stupid idea. It means this is a misplaced idea. That idea might work here. So even if you say something stupid, I'm going to say, oh, you do think it's stupid, right? It's not stupid. So even if you say something that you think may be perceived as stupid, right? I'm basically just going to say, well, okay. It may not apply right here, but it probably has an application somewhere else, because in this case, if you go past this number, that representation may not work. So how can we come up with an adjustment of what you proposed so that we can tackle all the cases you've described, but also these other cases, right? And so that kind of approach, because that's how real scientists tackle real problems in the real world, right? So they come up with a solution. And most of the time, all out there in the industry, I've been there, and many times when they have real problems, and the CEO or the market tells us, the market data says this is a real problem, and something bad is happening. The thing we do is not to throw up our hands in panic and say, well, oh my gosh, we're sunk, we're going to sink and all. But the thing to say is, all right, so it's not the end of the world. What we want to do is let's just come up with some band-aid solution first. Okay, but the band-aid solution is not something you're going to release to the customer. The band-aid solution is just to give you breathing room to say, I'm not going to drown. I'm just going to stay alive because this band-aid is going to keep me alive for 10 minutes. And those 10 minutes are enough for me to think up a better band-aid. And so that's an incremental solution, even to business problems, even to life problems. And many people are not successful, I think, in solving problems, whether it's in their companies or business or in their personal lives. I think it is because they're not doing it incrementally. They, when they have a problem, they immediately picture the solution, which is the ideal case. Ideal case when every problem has been fixed. This problem has gone away and a lot of intermediate problems have gone away, and that's where they are. And they want to say, that's where I want to go from here. I want to do that big giant leap. And they can't do it. No human can do it. And so they're basically stuck here saying, I can't solve the problem at all. And so the way to solve any problem, I think, is to look at the problem and basically just draw back, settle down, cool down a bit, and basically look at what are all the steps leading to that problem? What are the causes for that problem, right? Now, I may not be able to solve that problem, but I can solve these little steps one at a time. And even though I would have solved 5 steps and I would probably be, not hugely closer to the problem, but I'm still closer. And that is the bit that many people, I think, are missing, especially students missing, because they feel that the progress they're making is insignificant. Now, the issue here is that the progress is never insignificant. Although for a student, it will seem insignificant. Okay, when I was a student, when I was learning these things, I would look at my professors and say, wow, you know what, I'm never going to do that. You look at a master musician out there and say, well, I'm just starting to learn how to play an instrument. And you look at a musician and he's just doing these things effortlessly and they're talking to other people and doing these things. Okay, and say, I'm never going to be able to do that. This is taking me 500 years, right? And they say, I'm not even going to try, because if I'm going to do this, I got to be as good as the best person in the world. I got to be the best in the world if I'm going to do it. Otherwise, I'm not even going to do it. Okay, fantastic. That is the right attitude. When you do something, you got to say, there's no point in doing it unless I'm going to be the best in the world. Because, what's the point in doing something, a half-ass job, and someone else is going to be better than me, right? No point in doing that. You might as well just do something that keeps you happy and, belly full and all, right? So you have to have the attitude that I'm going to be the best, but at the same time, the successful people are the ones that, even though I'm going to be the best in the world, I'm not going to say that it's California or bust or whatever that thing is, right? It's either there or nothing. No, I'm going to say I'm going to keep going in that direction. So all I need is the direction to go, and I'm going to keep walking in that direction. I'm not going to jump. I'm just going to keep walking. If you're walking, you'll be fine, because every day when you go back to go to bed, you'll say, I'm a little closer, right? It doesn't matter, but I'm going to get there at some point. And surprisingly, you'll find that at some point you're so close that you can actually tell, right? Now, I'm so good now that 6 months ago I would have thought that this person was unreachable for me. I would never have done it. And you can see a real world example right now. If you go on to, not all of you maybe, because some of you may already be experienced and you may know programming and all. But if you go to the CS2C subreddit, you'll see students talking about some really intricate problems involving a lot of derivations, no, a lot of things, let me use the word things for now, right? A lot of things that they should just know will happen automatically. And they know that, and that's why they're not talking about those things. The simple things are not even talked about at the 2C level, because they know all these things. They've done that a million times. These programs you're going to write in CS2A, by the time you get to CS2C, you can check with Walter if you want. Those kinds of programs, those short fragments, you would have written like 500, 600 times, or 1,000 times, right? Because those things will occur in many different places. And as you're solving different problems, you're going to be using the same chunks over and over again. So by the time you get to CS2C, certain programming patterns, like the way you use a for loop, or the way you use a certain ternary operator and so on, without even knowing, you would have used that thousands of times in different places in your code. Therefore, you'll use it unthinkingly. Whereas in CS2A, you're using it consciously and thinkingly, saying, oh, I'm going to do this now. Oh, I'm going to try and use a ternary operator, see if it works. Okay. And you feel a great sense of, juice in your, and they say, oh, that's great. It worked. Okay. But, that's the first time, right? After that, it just becomes internalized because you'll find that it's the same juice you get from something else, which is at a slightly higher level. So that's what we'll do. And all right. So if do you want me to explain two's complement, or would someone else like to explain two's complement to the whole class? Okay. And at the end, you can always say, hey, Prof, I've done my spiel. Can you just come and round off the places where I missed a few things about two's complement? Yeah. And I can come and round off your explanation, so we can make sure that the class gets a full a wholesome explanation of two's complement. If you want to do that, please raise your hand and go for it, because that would be absolutely fantastic if you decide to do the explanation. Otherwise, I'll do it. Yeah, it's not a big deal. And even if you don't, you can also see this in all the videos, right? If you go to the what is it? What's week 1 second lecture? Yeah, go to any of the past quarters on our Nonlinear Media YouTube channel. Any of the past quarters, look for week 1 second lecture. Okay, they're all numbered now. All right. When I upload it, I put the number on it too. So week 1 second lecture, you'll inevitably find at least 1 or 2 explanations from me and students working through two's complement conversions too. Right? You don't have to go to YouTube and look for two's complement conversions and so on. It's right here. And this may be more suited for learning about these things, because everything is explained in the context of our class. So you go to YouTube and say, what is two's complement? You find like a billion videos, and many of those are being explained in the context of something, right? So, and yes, maybe some of them are really general too and good, but it takes a little bit of time to find the right one. But I know the ones that we've done in class are very specifically tailored for students who are going to be mastering in C++ and in this class and things that you need to learn. Okay. All right. So we have 3 questions. We'll go Adam, Nemo, and Joshua. Adam, did you want to explain two's complement, or?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
All right. Okay. What about Nemo? Nemo also had his hand up. Hey, Nemo, where are you? Just disappeared as soon as Adam volunteered.
Oh,
You wanted to explain too?
yeah, I was also volunteering.
Okay. All right. Good. No, that's fantastic. Okay. So why don't the 2 of you also practice, right? So you're going to be doing group presentations later on, if not in my class, in some other class. Group presentations, that's also a skill. And maybe it's not going to work out. That's perfectly fine, because you should not expect it to work out in a group presentation, but this will be a great opportunity for you. The 2 of you taking turns, basically tagging, right? Saying, all right, doing this, and then, you have to give subtle clues to the other person, saying, well, I can take over there. And then the other person picks up those clues and says, okay, now all right, now Nemo, why don't you do that? And then you're thinking about the next thing to say. You can basically play tag like that and explain it together. Do you guys want to do this? Yeah. Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it, because we never did this before, right? Where we had two people explaining a concept once. Yeah, that's great. Thanks. All right. So anytime now, if you guys like, just pick up the screen, and you just need to share the screen, and you can just do it on a whiteboard where you're typing, or use a pen and pencil. That's fine too, and just in your own words explain it. And then at some point you can say, hey, Nemo, is that did I say it right? Do you want to say it in a different way? Things like that, and vice versa. Just pass it back and forth between the 2 of you. I'll be here. Okay. In fact, you know what? What I'll do is, I'll turn it. Do you want me to turn the laptop around so I'm not looking at it directly, or do you want me to just sit here and look also? I'll be here. Okay. I'll sit here and look. Okay. I asked that because some students just feel, a little self-conscious when the professor is looking at what they're typing on or writing on the whiteboard. So, all right, go for it. Right, so you're going to be explaining two's complement to the rest of the class.
Okay, so two's complement is essentially a way of writing. It's essentially a way of representing a negative or positive integer, assigned integer, with binary. and it's calculated first and foremost, let's say by let's start with the number 1001, which happens to be the example from the module 0. So the way we calculate 2's complement is we want to find a number we can add to this number that adds to a group of bits of the same size plus 1 of all zeros except for the very first one being 1. So since we want this one to we eventually want to look like 1 0 0 0 0. So we got to figure out something to add to this 1 0 0 1 to get 1 0 0 0. And then, so for example, if the easiest way to do this, it's actually really, really easy in binary. You just add the complement of all of these digits. So if we start with 1 0 0 1 to get this, well, actually, let's start with just getting all ones in all of the spots. It's pretty easy to just add the opposite numbers to it. And if you did that, you would get 1 1 1 1. And then if you add 1 to that, it would just overflow and turn into this one. So, okay. So this form right here is the 2's complement of this number here, 1001. Which is 17. Yeah, 17. And then the complement is, oh wait, no, because this would be negative. So the reason that we want this extra 1 to be added is because we want to just completely discard it. We just want it to go away pretty much. So we add an extra space to our number to get rid of this extra 1. And this, what we're left with here is essentially the inverse of the number. So if we were to do this in decimal and start with the number 17, our goal is to add a number to this 17 to get 0. So obviously that would be negative 17, but we just got to find a way to add something to this first number to get 0. So we're removing this extra 1 to get 0. And that's the whole point of getting this 2's complement number over here. Which actually this is the 1's complement, not 2's complement.
Yeah. Nemo, do you have anything to add? I think that was a very nice. Thank you, Adam. Right? Thank you, Adam. I just want to add that when Adam is explaining things to you, you should all feel free to interact with him, right? You can ask Adam, hey Adam, did you mean 1's complement, not 2's complement? Yeah, because you see that he remembered and corrected himself, right? The typo, yeah, it's 1's complement. So, but someone else could also have said that, right? So it's 1's complement, and so you should feel free. Regardless of whether it's Adam or me or Walter, Hillary, Joshua, doesn't matter. Okay, whoever is typing whatever on screen, everybody should feel free to just jump in. Say, hey, because we all realize that everybody could make mistakes, no matter, right? Even if you're a master, musician or something, you have to be conscious of doing things, and sometimes you let it slip and make mistakes, right? And everybody allows that. It's that nobody expects anyone to be perfect 100% of the time. So you should all just feel free to butt in, no matter who's there. The only other thing that I wanted to mention was that number. Adam said it says 17, and because in his mind he was thinking of 4 bits, not 5 bits. Instead of 4, because with 4 bits, the maximum number is 15. And so 1001 is actually 9, not 17, because the 1 on the right is actually 8, 2 to the 3. And the one on the one on the right is 2 to the 0, 1. So 8 plus 1 is 9.
If you want to read a 2's complement number I kind of sort of forgot about this, but if you want to read it, the first digit is always going to be negative, or it's going to be the sign. So for this 2's complement number, this is the sign, so 0 would be positive. And then the next digits are the actual number. But you have to actually like flip them to calculate the number. So zeros would be calculated like as ones and ones would be calculated as zeros. And then you would get the actual number. Because if you were to do it this way, then you get 1, 1, 1, and you would get 7. Yeah, you'd get 7 from this, but this is supposed to give you negative 17.
No.
No. The other way around. The other way
That
around.
number is actually 7. That number
This number is 7. This number is negative 7.
But that number up there, you have
Yeah.
the first number on top, 1001.
Yeah.
That
'Cause
has
it's
got to be
0.
what?
It's
What
got
is
to be
the
negative
number
7.
on top? Someone other than Adam, okay? Someone other than Adam should tell me now.
9.
What is the number on top? Yeah, the one up there, 1001. If the number below there is 0111 is 7 in 2's complement, what is the number up there?
8.
Who said 8?
I did.
Aldo? Was it Aldo?
It was Joshua.
No, Josh.
Oh, Joshua. All right. So good guess. Good guess. Okay. 8. The number after 7 is 8, and that would be the case if you had more bits. But in this case, we only have 4 bits, and it's 2's complement. So what Adam has done is basically discover a number which, when added to another number, gives 0. Yes. Yes or no? Through some clever prestidigitation. Prestidigitation is a term that magicians use for sleight of hand. Right? Sleight of hand or sleight of hand. I don't know how you say that. Right? It's just tricks, to make you believe. So given the number 0111, which is 7, Adam discovered through some mathematical, magic, another bit pattern, which when you add to this bit pattern gives you 0, all zeros, except for the carry, which you're going to discard. Okay, this is going to be a carry. I'll show you in base 10 how it works. Okay, so now I have 2 numbers. If I add the 2 numbers, I get 0. That's the first fact. Yes or no? Everybody should say this. Okay, just give me some feedback. I have 2 numbers, A and B. I know that if I add A and B, I get 0. That Adam has proved. Yes, Adam has shown that 2 numbers. Right now, I know that 2 numbers, A and B, when I add, I get 0, and I also know that one of those numbers is 7. Yeah. So what's the other number got to be?
-7.
That's it. Yeah. So that's what it is. So the first number is actually -7 in 2's complement. Now, if the concept here is a little bit fuzzy, because Adam described the way in which you can manufacture the 2's complement notation, right? Now I can spend like 5 minutes talking about the concept. Why the motivation? Why are we doing it this way? Not just, just some people say, this is one notation, let's do it. Why are we doing it that way, right? I can spend 5 minutes talking about that if you want. But there's 3 hands. I see Aldo, Susilo, and Thomas. Thomas, you have your question?
No, I was just gonna clarify something, but a lot of people, I was like one of the last people to raise my hand, so other people should go before me.
Nemo, you have a question?
No. Well, I have the explanation for why it works.
Okay, all right. So you both of you guys have your hand up in Zoom.
Oh, okay.
I don't like this Zoom hand up thing because I don't even see many of these things. It's because I only see some of you. Maybe I can reduce the whiteboard size. I get more, but even then, there's more people that I can't see. Just speak up, okay? Just speak up and say, "Hey, I got something to say," or raise your hand. All right. So I can spend a few minutes, a couple of minutes, just describing the idea behind 2's complement, so that you understand what Adam's just did. All right. So Adam showed you how you can convert or do the representation. Let me show you what is the motivation. Why are we doing it that way? Yeah. Do you want me to tell you that, or are you happy to just read the modules and find out? Or it is described in module. I'm pretty sure I wrote it in module 0.
Yeah, it's in module 0. The reason is because, so we have to figure out this issue of representing negative numbers, right? So we try out the solution of just making the first bit represent a sign, a positive or a negative. And if you simply do that, then you end up with two ways to make 0, and you're giving up some of your information, like the space that you have for information, by giving up one of your bits to get a negative. So 2's complement is a slightly more efficient way of writing negative numbers in binary.
I would say too, there's also another big problem with just switching the first byte, which is you gave the example, Adam, of 7 and -7. When you add that in base 10, you get 0. But if you did that addition, I'm pretty sure, with just changing the first bit, you wouldn't actually end up with 0. I think if you just sum it like any arbitrary, fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's also like another big issue. Yeah, like if you just did that, you're not gonna get 0. Yeah, you're not gonna get 0. Yeah,
because
thanks, Adam.
and obviously, just like Thomas said, you should try out these different numbers and find out the advantages and disadvantages of the different notations. And again, so what the point that Adam brought up and Thomas talked about are basically again not the motivation, but they're important. Okay, they're important to know that, okay, the 2's complement overcomes these problems, and that doesn't, and is efficiency issues and things like that. But there is the motivation. Why is 2's complement? How does 2's complement even make sense, right? The important thing is how to make sense of it. Do you guys want to know how to make sense of it? I can just spend a few minutes talking about it. Okay, we'll talk about it in base 10, right? The same thing, same analogy I used in my module 0, but I'll talk about it in base 10. Okay, so now let's assume, in fact, same example I used for many quarters. Okay, so let's assume that you only have social security numbers that are 3 digits long. Okay, you only have 3 digits, 3 boxes to put your numbers, decimal numbers. We're talking about decimal numbers. Okay, decimal numbers, only 3 boxes. So with 3 boxes, what are the maximum number of decimal numbers you can represent? What are the maximum number of numbers? How many numbers can you represent if you only had 3 boxes to put the numbers in, digits in?
299. Sorry, 999. 999.
Only 3 boxes. Only 3 boxes.
300.
No. You imagine you're filling out social security numbers or something, right? You have these boxes. You can put 1, 2. You can write your number in each of those boxes. So each box can only take 1 digit.
You can make one.
So you have 3 boxes. What's the biggest number? How many possible numbers can you put in there?
Within
1,000.
Too many people talking at the same time.
Do you mean like how many possible combination of numbers?
Yes. How many different numbers?
1,000, I think.
It's
Alec, thank you.
permutation
Was it Alec?
problem,
Alec?
no?
Yeah, 1,000. That was me.
Okay, thanks. Yes, 1,000, because including 0, it's 1,000, right? Because you can go from 1 to 999, that is 999, plus the pattern for 0, that's 1,000. Okay, now suppose you have to fill in a form, and people have to write a number in those boxes, and they can put 1,000. You can accept 1,000 different numbers, 1,000 different social security IDs, but assume that, well, in this country, we're going to give social security numbers that are not only positive, we're going to classify people as positive people and negative people. Okay, nobody wants to associate with negative people, so we'll give them all negative social ID numbers. Okay, and social security numbers, and so you can imagine a system where you still only have 3 boxes, but you want to be able to give people numbers that span both negative and positive numbers. How can you do that? You can't put dashes, okay? Dash is not allowed. You can't say -500. That's not allowed. And you can put the dash inside one of the boxes too. Like who was it? Nemo, or someone said, oh, Thomas. You say you can't put because you said the 1 in there. 1 with the 7 is the sign bit, okay? So you can't put the dash is a sign bit. You can't put the sign bit inside of a box, okay? That's not allowed. It's right. So you only have these 3 boxes, but still you want to be able to store negative numbers for negative people. How would you do that?
So
What can you do?
you only go halfway
Ideas.
and then you overflow to the bottom.
Sorry, say that again, Nemo.
So you only go halfway through the numbers, and then after that they turn negative.
Oh, yeah, okay. So Nemo was saying, right. So only the numbers from 0 to 500 are true numbers, but any number greater than 500 is actually a negative number, which you get by subtracting 500 and making that negative. So 501 is actually -1, 502 is -2, and so on. That's what you're saying. Yes. Yeah. So that is a good way to do it. A good way, not the best way. That's a good way, because essentially what you're doing is exactly the same you're doing in binary also. You're saying I have space for 1,000 possible bit patterns, or 1,000 possible number patterns. I'm just going to take that space and chop it in half and say half of it I'm going to use for saying denoting positive numbers, and the other half going to be negative. And I'm going to say in my agreement, in my contract, the half that is negative is all going to be over 500. Everything under 500 is positive. Everything over 500 is going to be negative. You can say that, right? You can just make something, right? So that's one way to do this. Now, there's another way, which is actually subtle, and it's actually very nice, and it's not so immediately obvious, but I'll show you, right? It's not obvious. That's why it's so clever and cool, okay? It is cool because you can't see it directly, but when you see how it works, it is so cool. It's mind-blowingly cool, okay? So what we want is we're going to take advantage of a limitation. So here, how cool is that, okay? So we have been stuck with a limitation saying you only have 3 boxes. You don't have more than 3 boxes. Now, if anyone says you only have 3 boxes to put your numbers in, is that a limitation or not? Yeah, it's a limitation, isn't it? Because we can put bigger, right? So what we're going to do is, rather than see that as a limitation, we're going to switch our mindset and say, that's not a limitation. We're going to turn that limitation to our advantage and make that limitation useful in order for us to be able to represent negative quantities also. How would we do that? Okay, so let's take an example. Oh, Adam still got the screen. Great. Hey, Adam, can you write 3 negative numbers? There's 3 boxes, right? 3 boxes, a 3-digit negative number less than 500. Okay. Actually, yeah. I need to increase the size. Wait a sec. Okay. Now I'm losing some of you from my screen. Okay, go ahead. Write a 3-digit number. You don't have to draw boxes. I know it's pain, especially if you're using a mouse. Are you using a mouse to draw that box?
Maybe.
No, you don't have a pencil?
No.
Oh wow. Don't bother. Don't do
Okay,
that,
so you're
please,
saying just
because
any negative number?
yeah, any negative number, just write
Under
any
500.
positive number less than 500. Write any positive
Oh.
number less than 500 and just you type, okay? That thing which you're doing with a mouse, you may not notice it now. It is really, really bad for your wrist. And then you'll get RSI and things will start playing up. Don't do that. Don't draw with your mouse like that. Okay. And just type.
I don't know how to add text boxes on
No, you can just right click and add
Zoom
text.
board.
Right click and add text.
Not on the, I don't think on the Zoom whiteboard.
No,
Actually, can't right click to add text,
someone did last class. I think Aldo did last class. He was able to add text.
There's a text option. You just like if you go up in your toolbar, there's a text option. You just can't make it bigger.
There, he typed hello.
I don't have a toolbar.
So at the
at
top,
all.
there's an annotate option.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
It's because wait, why
How do you type
actually?
hello?
Oh, you know what? The Zoom menu got added to my second screen instead of the screen with all my Zoom stuff on it. Okay, never mind. Now I can put text. So you're saying
Great. Type 173 in a 173. Okay. All right. And so we got 173 in a box, and we want to find out negative 173. And we only have 3 boxes, and you can put a dash sign in front. So here's what we're going to do. Because we have a limitation saying there's only 3 boxes, we're going to do something very clever. We're going to discover a number, which when you add to 173 is going to give you 10,000. It's going to give you 1,000. Okay, it's going to give you 1,000. What number, if you add to 173, gives you 1,000? Exactly, right? So you want to solve that equation. So how can you find the number that that you add to 173 and you get 1,000?
900,
right? It's
827.
827, right? So now you can say, if you add 173 to 827, you get 1000. However, you only have space for 3 digits. So the carry, in fact, let's do the carry. Let's do the addition. Let's do the addition the way our kindergarten teachers taught us, okay? Write 173, and under that, write 827, and then we'll do the addition in the usual way, right? 173, and under that, write 827. No, it's 827. It's 827. Okay. Yeah, there you go. And line up the digits also, so that can you choose a font, by the way? Just double click on it and you can change it to Courier or some non-proportional font. It'll be because we're doing math and arithmetic, and lining up the numbers will be it doesn't matter. Okay. All right. So now how do we do this addition in school? So what we do is take the rightmost digits, the units place, and add those two, right? When you add those two, take the sum and write it below. Yeah. So what do you put under the 3 and 7?
0.
0. Why do you put 0? But 3 and 7 is 10.
Because you put the 1 on top of the next 7 as a carry.
Carry. Okay. All right. All right. You do a carry there. Okay. So you're gonna say, hey, what happened? Command Z a couple of times. Get back to where
I was Command Zing. I was trying to get back to where I was, but it just completely undid.
Command Y.
everything I
Command
was
Y will
trying
get
to
you
do.
back and forward. You can do Command
Command
Y.
Y?
Command Y. Command Y.
You're saying Command Y.
Yeah. Well, Command Y is this way. Command Z is that way. Command Y is this way.
I thought Command Shift Z did the opposite.
Oh, that's possible.
Oh, and now it's just doing this. Okay, so we're all the way back here. Great. I'm so happy about that.
Oh, you can just type it in again. 173
Yeah,
and
yeah.
27. Yeah. Okay, so and you're going to type under that, you're going to type a 0 under 3 and 7 and carry the 1 above the 7, right? And so you can remember that in your head, right? So 1 is above the 7. Now the 7 and 2 get added. That give you 9. And 9 plus a carry gives you 10 again. So you're going to do a 0 and carry the 1 again. Yes?
9 plus a carry, right?
Yeah. Why is Adam the only one who's talking? Well, not Adam. Also, other people are also talking, but right. So now here we got 0, 0, 0, and you still got a carry when you did the right leftmost number. However, we don't have a place to put the carry because we used up all our boxes. Yes.
Yep.
So now is where that limitation that you only had 3 boxes comes to our rescue and says, okay, you're done because you don't have boxes to put the carry, just throw it away. Okay, now using this procedure, I have discovered a number which you can add to 173 to give me all zeros if I just discard the carry. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And rather than, and the one other thing that will make your life a whole lot easier is that, how we did in order to find 827, we had to take, 173, subtract it from 1000 and so on and so forth. This is an easy way to do it. Okay, so write 173, and under 173, all you're going to do is don't go all the way to 1000, because if you go all the way to 1000, you got to do the subtraction and all. You're just going to go all the way to 999. Okay, if you want to go all the way to 999, you can just write it without having to do complex mathematics, because right? 3 and 6 is 9, 7 and 2 is 9, 8 and 1 is 9. Yeah. So go to 999 and then add one more to it. You go to 1000. So add one more to it, and that's 827. So the 826, if you want to give it a name, some complement name, it's complement. So complement is basically what's left over after you take something out. That's what a complement is, the complement of an angle, right? The complement of an angle is, that's 90 degrees. The complement of 45 degrees is 45. The complement of 30 degrees is 60. Because what do you add to get to the whole thing? That's a complement. So in our case, 1000 is the whole thing, right? And 173 is the number. The complement of 173 is whatever you add to 173 in order to get 1000. So what we're doing in this case, however, is that for each number, we're basically just going to do the 9's complement, okay? Not the 1's complement here. The 1's complement applies to 2, right? Base 2. But here we're going to do 9's complement, because for each number, we want to see what's left after I take that away from 9. And that's the number you're writing in 826, right? And 827 is 10's complement, and 826 is 9's complement. Does that make sense? Now, does it tie everything in? This is what 2's complement is, and this is how it makes sense. And the reason this is so beautiful is that now you can also just perform addition, subtraction, many arithmetic operations as though you're doing regular arithmetic with sign magnitude. Like, was it Thomas or Nemo? Someone pointed out that you have this issue, right? Thomas, yeah. With the sign magnitude, that bit will get in the way. You can't do regular addition and all. It's a pain. With 2's complement, all of that is gone, because we just discovered that you can do regular arithmetic. As long as you throw the carry away, everything works. Now, is that cool or what? Now, it will take a little while. I know this, okay? Well, maybe not the case for you. Now, you just know how to do this, right? But it takes a little while, maybe even a couple of days or a week for the motivation and this thing to really sink in and give you that wow. Okay, that has to happen. And it'll happen. It won't happen now, I can tell you, right? It'll happen when you're thinking about it on a bike, right? Or you're walking, or you're in a shower, okay? And you're thinking about it, and clicks. And when that click happens, you'll see it. And you say, wow, okay. And you get that epiphany. And every single thing you do in C++, any language, any subject at all, right? So learning happens only during those epiphanies, I think. So in classes, and when you're reading and you're talking to other people, you're just picking up lots and lots of information to digest, okay? So when you pick up a lot of information and digest it, when you pick up a lot of information and just store it, you haven't learned anything. You're just becoming an encyclopedia of knowledge that you can dish out, but you're not creating anything new. So what happens is that when you take the digested stuff and then start playing with it, and when you take the raw stuff and start digesting it, right? And saying, we're going to start playing with it and saying, why is it done this way? Why do I have to add salt and sugar at these specific points to this cake, right? So when you ponder this, it'll click and say, wow, okay, that is the reason why salt has to be added later, because if I add it too soon, then all the grains will become really hard and won't get soft. And things like that, okay? Simple things that will just blossom in your head. And these won't happen when you're doing a problem. These will only happen when you think about the problem later on after having solved it. And so that is the reason why I want every one of you to feel this epiphany and say, well, that is really cool. That is the motivation behind 2's complement. Out there, people are talking about 2's complement. They're saying, oh, integers are represented 2's complement. That's 2's complement. Many people don't even know what 2's complement is, and they're just using it. And they don't know what the motivation for 2's complement is, right? They think, oh, this 2's complement notation devised by some intelligent, clever people, and we're going to use it. But no, if you use something that's intelligent and clever without knowing how it is, you're just using someone else's, right? But once you understand why that's done, and you understand the motivation for it, now from that point onwards, it does not belong to Dijkstra. It does not belong to Einstein. It belongs to you. It belongs to you in exactly the same way as it belongs to Einstein. So you can't say from that point onwards, this is Einstein's 2's complement method. No, I understand it, so it's yours too. So you have to understand things. Until you understand things, you're always beholden to someone else and saying, I'm going to use that person's derivation. I'm going to use that person's theorem. I'm going to use that person's product and things like that. But once you understand it, you can say, well, I'm just going to put things together and do it because that's what I want to do. So that's why I think all of these concepts, including 2's complement, which is the first thing we're touching upon in CS2A, that's what it is, okay? And as we move forward in this class, we'll come across many concepts, not just in the math of it, but in the programming aspects of it, right? Why do we do certain things this way? Why do we, in a loop or in a statement, why is it structured in this way? Whereas that will also work. This will also work, but why is it done that way? And many people will say, I'll do it this way because that's how everybody's doing it. And you can do it too. Right? You can do it the way everybody's doing it and get solidly, well paid just by doing what everybody else is doing. But who wants to just get well paid? Is the fact that you're all learning C++ and intending to major in computer science or data engineering or machine learning or game development already shows that you don't want to just do what everybody else is doing. You want to take everything one step further, saying, I want to take what everybody's done, digest it, and then add my own bit on top of that. Yes. And that's how we change the world. And so And I think that every single thing we do in this class from today onwards, we'll pick up at least 2 or 3 concepts and say, well, there's many different ways of doing this, but we do it this way. Why do we do it this way? That's the motivation. Because intelligent, brilliant people before us, they've tried this. Okay, they've tried every single thing we're going to do. People, very clever people, have tried this. Okay, they've tried doing it in a billion different ways. Because we're not the only intelligent people on earth. There's so many clever people, and they've and we're not just talking about the current time. We're talking about eternity before, millions of years. There have been lots and lots of intelligent people look at hard problems, and they've tried to solve it in a billion different ways. So after a while, when you have a billion different ways to do things, people are going to say, well, there's so many different ways to do it, but this is the easiest way. Now that was even easier. So people will naturally, as you know, because we're all lazy by nature, we'll automatically zero in on what is the most efficient way to do it, because we don't have to spend a lot of work doing it. So many of these techniques have been thought about and pondered, and people have come up with different kinds of solutions, but yet one is preferred. And when you understand why it is preferred, that is the mark of a master, right? The other people will, they won't understand it, but they'll still do it. So you can, in fact, that's why, contract jobs, you can get contract jobs as long as you're able to do a reasonable QA. You can get contract jobs done by other people. They don't really need to know the nitty-gritty details of the theory or why things happen, but they're good at putting things together, and you can get things done, right? So, but that is not a fulfilling place to be, I think. In order to be really fulfilling, you got to get to the creative aspect of any job you're doing, and the creative aspect only comes to the fore when all the routine and things are taken care of, and then you also know why all the routine things are being done in particular ways, so that you can adapt. Yeah, because you can see in any art form, the really creative people are basically just adaptive people, because things go wrong all the time. But a shoddy artist will let something that went wrong will spoil, will spoil the whole art, or will be a smudge somewhere. Okay, but the really creative people, anything that happens, they just incorporate that into their artwork, right? And they'll say, well, there's a foreign note, right? Let me see if I can work that foreign note into what I'm going to play next, right? And so they're constantly adapting, because they've come across this situation before. And that's another reason why you all have to, any art you pick, you have to keep doing that all the time. You can't just come to it once in a while. So if you're going to be, you have to give your all to it. And so programming also, if you just keep doing it all again and again, you'll come across different ways of doing it. You'll fail. You have to fail many, many times, right? You have to fail so that you'll know this will fail, that'll fail before trying it. So you won't be at an interview at a whiteboard coding something and do something wrong, because you would have done that wrong thing a million times before. And so we'll do a lot more of these going forward. And when we're coding, that's why it's more important for everyone to get a chance to come and code, because as you're coding, we'll see different ways of doing things. And I'll say, well, no, we've done it this way. Now let's erase that and do it in a slightly different way. And then we can talk about the pros and cons of the 2 different ways. I say, hey, this is better, that's better. In this situation, that's better. In this situation, this is better. Okay, all of those things you can start to marvel at. And the marveling is out of bounds for many people. You can only start marveling at something after you understand the basics. And many people are just stuck with saying, I'm good enough, I'm happy enough with the basics, and I don't need to marvel. But marveling is where the real universe is at. Hey, Adam, you have your hand raised, so I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
I did want to ask, so this tens complement number, 827, is that negative 173?
Yes, it is. It is a negative 173, exactly. In fact, you'll see that we actually got the effect that Thomas was referring to before, because every number greater than 500 is actually negative. We got that as a side effect. It's a byproduct now.
And 0 is not overlapping with itself.
Yes. So is that cool or what, right? And so that is what I wanted to, in fact, if enough of you feel that this is cool, the purpose of this class has been achieved. Because in every class, there's got to be one concept that is really cool, that you basically synced with and said, wow, that is what is going on. Okay, so if that's happened in your minds, that's the end of this class. No, not really the end of this class, but the mission of this class has been accomplished. And so that is the beauty, right? And so don't let, my recommendation is that this thing about two's complement and this discussion we had, this thing that Adam worked on screen and all, don't let that go into your memory as, okay, well, been there and done it. You have to think about it, okay? And make some time. If you're going to forget about it, set a reminder maybe. The best time for these things are when you shower, right? So in your shower, you can't be typing or checking your phone. But in your shower is the best time to start to think about these things. That's why Archimedes had this great idea when he was in a bathtub, right? So, and lots of people have great, I've had a lot of ideas in the shower, right? And so there's a shower, walking, you can, well, walking also people tend to phone, talk on the phone and all. So, but make it a point to think more about these things. And that's when it'll good, right? So that is two's complement. Is that enough of a two's complement overview for all of you guys? There's also a floating
some
point.
questions too.
Yeah, Joshua.
It's Aldo.
Aldo, where are you? Oh, why is it? Oh, there you are. Okay. This is a lag, I think. Yeah, okay.
So it's like what I can wrap my head around is the only advantage of using two's complements in contrast of the floating point notation, or not floating point, sorry, the sign notation is it just the arithmetic part? Because wouldn't there still be 2 zeros in the two's complement? Like 1000, like 1000's two's complement is still 1000, right?
All right, this is a very good answer. Aldo, thank you for asking that question. It's a very good answer. Would someone else like to answer, or I can answer too?
I'm not sure I understood the question.
So what Aldo is saying is that, well, there's still two possible numbers, 2-bit patterns for 0. You have 1000 also 0 because the carry is lost, right? And then 0 is also 0. So we have the same inefficiency as sign magnitude. That's what Aldo is saying. That's my understanding. Is that right?
Yeah. And then the range is still the same too. It's only the 3 bits worth of capacity of storing numbers, because the first bit is essentially used for sign. So it's the only pro of using two complement is the arithmetic function that we gain using it.
So one thing I want to point out is that in sign magnitude, you're actually explicitly using the leftmost bit as your sign bit, saying if it is 1, it is a negative number. If it is a 0, it's a positive number. That's what you do in sign magnitude. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
In two's complement, you're not consciously doing that. It is just a byproduct. It just falls out of your representation automatically.
How is that
so
different?
You're not explicitly saying that all my negative numbers have to have 1 here. It just happens to happen. Now, the answer to your question as to that being 2 zeros is really that 1000 is not a possible. You cannot represent 1000 here. You can only represent 1000 numbers, and including 0, that's 999. So 1000 is not a possible number at all. You cannot represent 1000 in 3 digits.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking in terms of a byte. So like 4 bits.
If you have 4 bits, then two's complement. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. So let's do 173 in 4 bits and do the two's complement. How's that? Really cool. Hey, Aldo, thank you. Thank you so much for doing that. But do you want to do it now? Instead of Aldo, you can take the screen because you asked a question. If you can take it from Adam, and we'll do. Hey, Adam, did you already do in two's complement? Yeah. Okay. Thanks. All right. So Aldo, you want to take the screen? Let's do negative 173 in two's complement using 4 bits instead of 3 bits. 4 boxes. 4 boxes.
Would it be okay if I use an Excel sheet instead? Because
better, even better. Yeah,
I think it will be easier to type.
Actually, hit Command Plus a couple of times so that the fonts are bigger and all. Command Plus. Yeah. Okay. That's good. Okay. All right. Now just put in 173 in column B, C, and D, because we're going to use A, B, C, D 4. No, actually put it in C. C, D, E, A, C, D, E, C, E. Sorry, C. Okay. Now let's also put a border, highlight B, C, D, E, and make them all some color. No, highlight the That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We have 4 boxes. Okay, we have those. We have four boxes, not 3. 4 boxes. Yeah. Okay. 4. So the 4 boxes, we want to convert 173 to negative 173 using those 4 boxes. Now, how would we do that? In 4 boxes, what is the biggest number you can say?
999. Or
9999, right? No, not
Yeah,
999, 9999.
yeah.
So what we want is to get to 9999 plus 1. So let's find out what you need to add to 0173 in order to get 9999. Because 4 boxes, 173 is 0173, not 173, right?
Mhm.
So you have to put 0 in B. And under B, you got to put 0 in B2, in column in B2, in cell B2. Okay, so that is 173. We want to find out negative 173. Now, what do you add to 0173 in order to get 9999?
9826.
9826. Now add 1 to 9826, you get 9827.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 9826 is a 9's complement and 9827 is a 10's complement of 173. Well, actually, 9827 is the 10's complement notation for negative 173. That doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
Because now if you add 9827 to 173, what do you get?
Like the overflow. So 10,000.
10,000, right? So you get 10,000, but you only have 4 boxes. So the 1 will go and you only have zeros.
Yeah.
So that problem that you mentioned, that you have the redundant representation for bit pattern 0. So that's been solved, right? Because you say that the range is exactly the same, and half positive and half negative, and everything works out. And the arithmetic is the main reason. Okay, the ease of arithmetic in 2's complement is one of the main reasons. Other than it basically falls out of the fact that this is the way we're manufacturing our numbers. That makes our arithmetic easier too. Did this answer your question?
I think I'm still I'm still slightly confused because okay, this is on 10's complement, but then wouldn't okay, I'm thinking in terms of the byte, the binary. So for example, so it's 111, say it's 4 bits like this. So the maximum decimal that we can get in this range if we use the 2's complement is 124, which is negative 727, right? Or
hey, Aldo, I'm trying to follow what you're saying. So 1111, is that a binary number or a decimal number? What did you write there?
Binary.
It's a binary number.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
4
or
bits.
in a
And it's
byte.
4 bits, right? You got to
Mhm.
know how many bits.
It's sorry, in 4 bits. In
Mhm.
2's complement, the maximum range is from negative 727. But if we use
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. 4 bits. If you're using 4 bits, I think in 2's complement, you can go from
negative 8 to 7.
Hmm?
Negative 8 to 7, because there's 16 possible combinations and 0 isn't overlapping.
Oh yeah,
like
4 bits.
before.
Yes. Negative 8 to 7. Yes. Negative 8 to 7.
how do you represent negative 8 again in 2's complements?
So why don't we do it? Then negative 8 in you first write hang on, negative 8 to positive 7, is it? Is it negative 8 to positive 7 or negative 7 to positive 8? You got to basically have to have 16 patterns. So if you have all zeros, it is a 0. So let's do the conversion and find out, because I also keep forgetting the edge corner case and I have to derive it. So let's see in 4 bits. Let's do what was the number again? It was 8. You want to convert negative 8. You want to find out negative 8. What is a bit pattern for a negative 8, right? So what is 8? 1000. Can you type 1000 for
1000?
That is 8. So now the 2's complement, the 1's complement of 8 is going to be 0111.
Yeah.
And the 0111, and then you add 1 to it, and you get negative 8, right?
Yeah.
All right. So that means that the pattern actually goes from so you're going to treat that 1000 as negative 8, and then you only go to +7. Well, someone actually said the exact same thing, right? So that is your -8. 1
Oh,
0 0 0 is your -8.
So this is considered -8 instead of 0, right?
That's right. Because you have 4 bits, not 5 bits. You have 4 bits.
Oh, okay, got it. So it adds one extra bit and replace another zero.
No, it
Okay,
doesn't
that makes
add.
sense.
No. Here.
or-
All right. So yeah, again, this is a common point of confusion for students. Okay. Whenever we are talking about two's complement notation or any of these notations, we already have to have in our minds a contract from between the two parties saying we are talking about this number of bits, right? So two's complement for 2 bits or 5 bits is not the same as two's complement for some other kind of bits, some other number of bits. So you have to know the limit, because only when you know the limitation you can turn it into your advantage. Yes.
yeah.
If you don't know what your limitation is, you can't turn it to your advantage.
Yeah, I meant
So you got to know
from
the limitation. So 4 bits.
Yeah, I meant from the sign notation. So like one in the sign notation, there's two versions of 0, but in two's complement, we use one of that 0 to add on, in this case, to
Exactly.
-8.
And in sign magnitude notation, you don't have -8.
Yeah,
with 4 bits.
That's what.
Yes?
Yeah. Okay, that
Yeah.
answers my question.
Yeah. You have 2 zeros,
Mhm.
and you have and you go from -7 to +7. You've lost the -8.
Mhm.
Whereas in two's complement, that is your -8.
Gotcha.
So the other point of confusion that many students have is that two's complement only applies, and it does only makes sense. It only makes sense for finite media representations, meaning it only makes sense when we're talking about representing that in boxes or bits or bytes. There is no sense in talking about two's complement in binary itself. It's saying that in binary arithmetic, in decimal arithmetic, there's nothing called two's complement, because in binary arithmetic you don't have numbers that have fixed sizes. You can have infinity. So arithmetic itself does not have two's complement. Two's complement is an artifact we have introduced because of this limitation that has fixed size boxes. In mathematics, you don't have fixed size boxes. Numbers can basically go from -infinity to +infinity. You can keep on writing as many digits as you want on a paper, right?
Mhm.
So you can't have two's complement on a piece of paper where you have infinite space. You can only have two's complement when you have finite space. So it only makes sense for computers, not for binary arithmetic. I don't know if that it doesn't make sense, or it ended up confusing you more.
No, I think I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Two's
thank you.
complement is very important to have just that. It needs to be in that box, and then it'll all work.
Gotcha.
Hey, Samir, you have a question?
Yeah, so just going off of what you're saying, that two's complement is something that is used for basically cases where we have finite space. In like a computer today, in a use case, does that mean that we're just dealing with enormous sort of like bit size bit sort of like finite spaces for basically in practice, what does this look like, but like on the scale of like computers that exist today?
If I understand your question correctly, you're saying basically every number you deal with in a computer is actually a fixed size number. It can't go bigger than that.
Mhm.
Every number, anything you deal with on a finite device is also finite in size. So on a computer, if you're dealing with a very, very large number, like trillion numbers, right? Big numbers, they're just stored in a representation that allows for that many bits.
Mhm.
So as it happens in C++, integers in those days, right? In days before even I started programming, integers were 16 bits long, 16 bits long. They're called short integers. So already we know in 8 bits you can go up to 255, 16 bits you can go up to 65,536, right? 2 to the 16. So 16 bits is what we used. But then these modern computers, very likely that the computer you're having has an integer that's 4 bytes long, that's 32 bits. So the numbers are getting bigger and bigger as the quantities we have to deal with are getting bigger and bigger too.
Mhm.
But I think even today, the biggest representation that we require is probably the biggest integer representation we require is probably just 8 bytes. I think 8-byte long number, 8 bytes, that is 8 bytes is 64 bits, right? 64-bit number is probably the biggest space we need for today. Maybe there are specialized computers that handle, bigger numbers, but all the numbers that we are using in computers today, the biggest ones are integers, not floating point, right? Floating point is a different ball game altogether, which you'll find out. But yeah, 8-byte numbers, or 64-bit numbers. Yes, there's something else I wanted to say, but I completely lost that when I was saying this. Never mind. We'll continue later.
And in the case where we were using the 4-bit limitation, where one followed by 3 zeros was the -8, is that limit? So like the largest representation with 4 bits is just 1 1 1 1, correct? And
the largest representation in 4 bits in binary is 1 1 1 1.
Yeah.
In 2's complement, the largest is just 7 0 1 1 1.
So the amount of representations that you could make remain the same. It was 16. So then what is the significance of then having done the sort of like the additional trick to be able to represent a negative number?
What is the significance of the trick to represent? We want to be able to represent both negative and positive numbers, right? If you want to do arithmetic, for example, you got to be able to represent both negative and positive numbers. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you just use, standard binary notation, going from 0 to 15 for 4 bits, there's no way we can actually do negative numbers there.
Okay, I see.
So we just say, and again, we chop the space in half, saying half the space is for negative, half the space is for positive, which essentially means you're just using 1 bit for your sign, which automatically falls out of 2's complement notation.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
It's essentially, we're not changing the space. We're not changing the space or the number of different numbers we have. We're just saying, this is negative and that part is positive, but the total number of different bit patterns is the same. In fact, there's a famous, popular joke. What is this? This guy, Berra, Yogi Berra. This is an American guy called Yogi Berra, who made very lots and lots of witty statements in his life. And I used to, get a feed a long time ago about office clips, and one of them was that he was at a pizza shop, and the guy asked him, "Do you want me to cut it into four slices or 8 slices?" And he said, "Well, you know what? I'm really hungry, so make it 8 slices." So but the thing is, you don't change the number of the total number of bit patterns, right? You're just saying dividing it up differently. So like that. This is interesting, isn't it? So you're not changing the number of just anything else you guys want to do. What time is it now? My God, yeah, it's you have a half hour. If you want, we can go over more stuff like we did before. We can do floating point, or better, you guys can just do it amongst yourself. Like Adam already had a go, maybe Samir or Ashley, or not Walter. Walter will be there, of course, to help you out if you're stuck. Alexis. Also, there's so many people, right? And this is just the first screen. This is the other screen of people too. So anyone should feel free to just take over and say, let's work through some problems with floating point, or with more 2's complement or something else, and work through this on your own. Doesn't matter if there's mistakes, right? And errors. And if you get totally irretrievably stuck, you just have to call me, or Walter's here too, right? We'll come and help and unblock you. But you have a half hour left to play with these numbers and digits, and figure out what the hell is going on under the covers. Okay, because we know how the computer works on the program up here, but you want to know what's going on, right? How does it actually do what I'm asking it to do? That's all this. Once you know how it does it, then you can get it to do more things, right? If you don't know how it does it, you can't get it to do everything you want. So that's the reason why you need to get to the bottom of these things. All right. So you got a half hour. If you want me to just still stick around and do more problems like this, I'm happy to do it. But I think it would also be more fun if you guys take over. Probably not Samir or Adam or Thomas. People who have gone already should, I think, help out the ones who haven't had a chance. Essentially, this class should just be one big party. Okay, everybody comes, everybody have a good time playing with numbers. Okay, and or code or whatever it is, playing with an idea, playing with, you know, drawing a picture on screen, which we're going to do later on. Right, all of those things. It's just a party. Okay, it's a party, and parties don't always have to have alcohol and food. Okay, so this is a party where we don't have alcohol and food. We're just going to have fun. Okay, only fun, and there is fun here. And people who are not having fun just haven't found out where the fun is. That's the only thing. Okay, I don't believe that there are people who cannot learn computer science or cannot learn this and cannot learn that. That's total bullshit. Okay, everybody can learn everything. It's just that people haven't found where the fun is. You just take them there and say, well, you know what, this huge playground, but that's where you want to go. That's where the greatest fun is. Then you can go here. Then you can go here. Okay, so you just need to be able to point people out, and I can see that some of you already know where the fun things are, but the goal is everybody should know where the fun things are, so that we can go on to the next playground and have a similar kind of party over there. And we're going to have 24 different playgrounds in this quarter. Okay, each one will go in and try and play with different kinds of structures and say, hey, that's fun, that's fun, that's fun. And in order for that to work, everybody has to join in. Okay, everybody has to jump in and say, well, you know, I've had to go, but those people, you know, they want to go, but I can see that they're kind of shy. So let's, you know, get them go, get them to go. And then we'll all stand behind their back. We'll have their back and say, well, you know what, don't worry, you know, we'll help you out here and there. So everybody should go. And you have to get through that first thing. It's like stage fright. Okay, being up there and, you know, doing it once. And saying, wow, all right, all these butterflies, I thought I was going to die in front of all these people, but I didn't die, and here I am. Okay, and you do it again. The next time you say, well, you know what, I'm going to faint. Okay, because, you know, it's still an unpleasant feeling, but it hasn't completely gone away, but it's not dying unpleasant anymore. It's fainting unpleasant. Okay, so you got to keep doing it again and again. And eventually you'll find, well, you know what, first time I thought I was going to die. Second time, I thought I was going to faint. Third time, I thought, you know, it's going to ache a little bit. The fourth time, well, okay, I'm doing it because someone asked me to. Fifth time, well, I really want to do it, right? I'm going to try and, you know, weasel my way into the screen and, you know, get there. So, and that is the only way in which you can overcome stage fright. Okay, you can't keep practicing in front of a mirror and say, you know, that's how the monologue is going to look. Never works. Okay, because in a mirror you're looking at someone else, but on stage there's 500 eyes looking at you, and you're looking at every one of those eyes. So the only way it'll work is actually look into those eyes, look into the eyes and hearts of all these people looking at you, and you can find out in the end that no matter what anyone thinks of you, they're not going to kill you. You're not going to die, and you're still going to have a meal at the end of the day, and water to drink. Okay, so it doesn't matter what other people think of you, and the problem, I think, and even in life, is that many people think that what other people think of them matters in their own life. It actually does not matter, and many people realize that very late in their lives, and don't realize that late in your lives. So don't give a shit. You just say, this is what I'm interested in. I want to find out more. It doesn't matter if I'm wrong, because if I'm wrong, it's better because someone could tell me where I'm wrong. Because if you're afraid to say something that's wrong because someone could correct you in public, then you'll always be wrong, and you'll never be, you know. So better to just be wrong and say, wow, I didn't realize that. Okay, so now thank you for that. Okay, so that would be much better to have. Is that okay with you guys? Do you want to do floating point on your own like this? Yeah, someone who understands floating point can lead it or guide it or, you know, help you out. But otherwise, just feel free to play around. Even two's complement is fine. Okay, if you want more practices, you can just pick numbers, convert them. If you and one person can ask another person a question, and if they can't answer it, they can ask me or Walter, right? And we'll come and answer it for you. But the goal is for the rest of the time in today's class, you're just going to be playing with this. And again, this is the last opportunity for playing with numbers here, because from next class onwards, you're actually expected to know it, right? It's not that you could have skipped it and gone on. You're expected to know it, because later on you'll find it really, really hard. Like loops not terminating because you didn't know your data structure properly, your data representation properly. Even in 2C, you can ask Walter, okay? How many times in 2B and 2C students have posted questions saying, I have a loop that's not terminating. My program is running too long and the quest master killed it because it was too long, right? So how many times? And many of these errors, more than 75% of those errors in the data are because of the student having overlooked something very simple in the data representation aspect of the way they structured the loop, which they wouldn't have done if they'd done the data representation part, but they learned it later. They learned it later in a bitter way, right? So why learn it later in a bitter way? Say, yeah, I have to submit it tomorrow and it's not working and something weird is happening, right? And go through stress and sleepless night and finally fix it and say, oh my God, I got it done. Okay, why unnecessarily age yourself an extra year overnight just because you didn't do the data representation? Do it now. You'll be really solid later on. Okay, so I can guarantee that. I've seen this so many times, so I can say that with confidence. If you're solid on data representation, you'll be solid later on, even in data mining, right? Data mining, data engineering, all of that requires data. Even game development, right? Game development requires data. Like if you're playing Fortnite, for example, in Unreal, in the Unreal development engine with Fortnite, what is it? They have a feature called replication. I don't know. So it's a long time. I've forgotten. I think it's called replication. Okay, they have a feature called replication when you're creating a game. Replication makes sure that the state of an object is replicated instantly across thousands of computers that may be linked, right? So you're all playing the same game, and you pull out a balloon axe, and immediately your avatar has pulled out a balloon axe in millions of computers around the world. Everybody else was in the same island as you. So that means that state has been replicated, bam, like that. Now, in order for replication to happen so efficiently, they got to make sure that the payload that is being payload is a thing that is actually being replicated, right? Is as thin as possible. There's no redundancy in there. Yes? Because if you say, I got a big, I got like 50 gigabytes of data pertaining to this balloon axe, and that balloon axe has got to be replicated in 5,000 computers that are playing this game, right? And it's 50 gigabytes of, that MPEG or a PNG of that. It's never going to work. So, but it's not as simple as that. I'm saying that those are the kinds of things you'll start looking at. So if you know data representation, you can say, well, I need to replicate, and this is exactly what that person needs to know. That those 5 computers playing the same game at the same time with me, they need to know only that information. They don't need to know the whole contents of my screen. They only need to know these 15 numbers. And these 15 numbers also I can trim down to as few bits as possible. So regardless, even though we have 5G and incredible speeds communication, even then, engineers, we put in a great deal of effort into determining, even though we have infinite bandwidth, we want to make sure that what we transmit through the infinite bandwidth is as condensed as possible, right? Just because we have a lot of space doesn't mean we can go wasting. Yes? So that's how people who win lotteries blow all the money in a couple of weeks, right? They get $1 billion. They don't know what to do. They'll just go and waste it all. And in a couple of months, they're broke again. So we need to know this and yeah, I don't know where that analogy fits in, but that's basically it. I shouldn't be taking up so much time. Okay, so you guys ready to go on your own? Eric, by the way, you got to switch that photo. It looks like you're there, but that's actually a photo. It's not your camera feed. Okay, and everybody should feel free to switch on the cameras. Okay, it's much better with your faces on screen rather than these rectangles. Especially in the video, it doesn't even show your names, and it's all rectangles, and nobody's going to watch those videos after that. Okay, so please do keep your cameras on. And that's the other way I can also tell that you're engaged in class. When it comes time to do participation points, that's what I remember, right? I'll remember students who've been in class, your faces, and what you're doing, and how many times you've volunteered, how well you're participating on Reddit by helping other students. Those are the things I'll remember. And if you have your camera on, off all the time, I'll never even get to know you. Then, I don't have that great an opportunity to reward you with points later on. So please do have your cameras on anytime. Unless you have personal reasons for not doing so, and in that case, you need to reach out to me, and then we'll come to an arrangement, some other arrangement where. But if you consistently not have your camera on, you'll probably have a pop quiz or a test that the other people don't, right? So the people who are active and participating in class will not have extra quizzes and tests for your assessment. But the ones who are not active and participative, they are around week 4, week 5, week 6 or something. I'll give you extra quizzes and tests you need to complete in order to get some points, okay? Is that okay with you guys? All of you, all right? Okay, great. Please encourage everybody else too. Everybody else to participate and have their cameras on and be interactive and chatting, okay? This is all practice for you. Thank you all. Unless you have any more questions, I'm just going to leave this in the hands of you guys. And I don't know, is Walter still here? Maybe he had a class or something to go to.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, you're here. Okay, you're on the other screen. Okay, so we're still here. I'm not going to be right in front of your camera, obviously, your screen, but we're still here. Can you guys take it away from here? Yes or no? Great. At least David has given me a thumbs up. All right. There you go. Adam too. Adam, is it a thumbs up or are you just byproduct? Okay, thumbs up. Okay. All right. Cool. Great. Okay. All right. Awesome. Ashley, thank you. Go ahead, and I'm going to turn this laptop around so that it's just looking into the yard. You don't have to feel cramped. Your style doesn't have to be cramped at all, right? I'm just a friend. I'm your equal. Okay. Don't look at me as your professor or someone who knows more or better than you. No, I'm not better than you. I'm exactly the same as you. The only thing I may have is because I'm older than you, I have a bit more data points that I can refer to, right? You don't have as many data points as I have in life. I have a lot more data points I can refer to, but what I do with the data, I'm going to do exactly the same thing that you would do if you had the same data, meaning that you have the same intelligence as I do, and you're going to be looking at information, right? So I'm just the same as you. So don't think, I don't like this, professor student formalities. Okay, so we should all just be learners at the same time, just engaging with each other as curious human beings, because human beings by nature are just curious. They just want to find out, and just be curious. And there is nothing bad in being curious, right? You're not a cat. You're not going to be killed for being curious. I don't know why curiosity killed a cat. Curiosity shouldn't kill a cat. Curiosity should give the cat a lot of goodies. All right, and there you go. I'm going to, yes, okay, all right. See you guys later. Just call out to me, okay? Just call out to me if you need me to come back.
I do actually have a question for you, but I don't.
For me?
Yeah. I asked it to you in the private messages because I don't think it's.
Oh yeah, please don't type in chat.
important.
Okay, I don't even see chat.
Oh,
there you
okay.
go. Yeah.
It's not really pertinent to the rest of the class because I'm kind of it's stuff that I'm like ahead on, so I don't really feel like I need to bring it up in front of everyone. But it is an issue that I'm encountering, and I'm curious about how I can fix it.
Oh, you're saying you have a bug in one of your programs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's my suggestion, and not just you, Adam. Anyone, okay? Everyone, and you should also pass this on. If you have a bug in your program, you should never ask anyone, your father, your brother, mother, sister, friends, enemies, nobody. You should never ask. Show them the code and ask them what the bug is. Please don't do that. It is for your own good.
Okay.
You can spend hours, and you should spend hours just trying to figure it out. You can ask on the Reddit.
I did actually. Okay, I should have done that. I can be specific about it. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. Go ahead.
On one of the quests, it asks you to calculate a geometric product, and my solution to the problem gives decimal answers that are like one decimal place off of the right answer. So it's like it'll ask for like 16.054, and I'll give it 16.0539. And I'm not sure exactly what's causing it, and I've tried a couple different solutions, so I might try some more stuff, I guess.
I'm so happy that you ran into this problem and also brought it up in class. Okay, so these kinds of things you should bring up in class. Thank you, Adam. Okay, and the reason I say that was because this very specific bug that Adam is trying to fix here requires a solid knowledge of data representation. So once you're solid on data representation, you'll actually know what's going on. And the reason I say that is because in the real world, in arithmetic, outside of computers, you can add two numbers and in any different way, and you'll get the same thing. But in computers, with computers, as we saw, we're going to have to cut some corners and make these compromises, saying, I only have 8 bits, or I only have eight bytes to store my number. So I can store an infinite precision number on a computer. I got to round it off. Okay, I got to round it off and only store that many digits and so on. Okay, now the thing is, because of these data representation issues, arithmetic operations like plus and minus are not now truly commutative, right? So you can't just shuffle these things around and get the same result. If you add these two first and then add that later, you get a different number. If you add these two first, so you get different numbers, because the overflows are all different and the things are being discarded at different rates. So therefore, the only way to get one of those later quests done, which Adam is now stuck at, which says, well, you got the number 1.5, but the answer is actually 1.499. Unless you get 1.499, you're not right. Okay, now 1.5 might actually be the right answer, but 1.499 is what the system is looking for. And so that means that 1.5 is not the right answer. Now 1.499, what the system is looking for is the right answer. Even though it's not the exact answer, the system is looking for. So there's a challenge now where the quest becomes not how to get the right answer, but how to get the answer the system wants. Now, how do you get the answer the system wants? There is a way. And the way is to think about how are the numbers generated? Do I need to do the multiplication before the addition or the addition after the multiplication? So because the order in which you do these things will determine the number of precision, the places of precision, right? And you can figure it out. You can do it with trial and error experimentation will also do. But usually, and I have some tips in the spec sheets too, saying, well, this is the order in which you have to do it. Otherwise, you'll find your numbers are slightly off from mine. Okay. So if you do it in exactly that order, which is a secret order, which you have to determine. Okay. So that is a secret order you have to discover.
The spec sheet just says like, don't use the math library or whatever.
Math library.
Yeah. So I didn't do that. But it's just multiplication for the geometric product.
No. It is not just multiplication. You have at least a couple of arithmetic operators, and also even if it's multiplication, it is it is the geometric progression, isn't it? It is the terms of the geometry, right?
Yeah.
So when you calculate the terms of the geometric progression,
you're just multiplying it by a.
Oh yes. You're just multiplying it. All right, so even better then, even better, okay? Because you don't have that many operators. There's only a few different permutations you put your operands in.
There's 2 permutations. There's multiplying my A and R. So the way I'm doing it right now is I have a for loop that, because it takes in an A and R and the number of terms. I have a for loop that iterates n times, and outside of the for loop there's a string, which is the output, and I'm just adding to that, and then there's a double which is called POW,
okay,
because I'm not using the math library. So this POW double, I initialize it at 1, and then in the for loop, the first thing I do is I add to the output string the result of A times POW, which for the first term would be just A. And then I multiply POW by R, which is essentially just increasing the power of R every single term. So the second term would be A times R, third term would be A times R squared. So it's doing the right operation.
Yes, it is doing the right thing. It is doing the right thing. So I know exactly what's going on. Because you're getting all the right numbers, your output is not the right precision. And so what you have to look at is, and there's form posts, you don't look at a form post, okay? In the modules, you'll find a way in which you can convert a number from a numeric representation to a string. Now the modules describe how to change it. Now there's many ways in which you can change it. And suppose you use toString. There's another way called toString. Yeah,
it's toString.
It'll do its default conversion, which may not be the same as what the Quest wants.
Okay.
So there is a way to convert a number, a numeric representation, into a string in a very specific way.
Okay, so you're saying you think that's it? Okay.
That's
I had another solution that I was going to try afterwards.
Actually, yeah, try that other solution before you try what I said.
Okay,
Before you look
yeah.
into the modules, before you look into the modules and say, I'm going to use this output O stream and convert it and
It's
all. Very
actually
simple.
a simpler solution, I think. It might use fewer
Which
lines
one?
of code.
Which one is simpler?
The solution that I'm gonna use? I'm just gonna
Oh, okay. If it works,
overwrite
that's
the.
great.
Yeah, actually, I'm not gonna say the solution in case people get to the
Yeah,
class
yeah.
later. It is not
In fact, what you
required.
can do is
though.
after next week, well, after the week when that quest is due, you can put your solution on a tip sheet. This is what I did, right? So you can say this is what I did afterwards.
Can you add quotes to the? I know you can do that in Java, but I don't know if you can do that in C++.
Quotes?
Nemo said something to me in private messages. Like you can just, can you just add 2 quotes, like your number plus 2 quotes?
Yeah. Like
You by 2 quotes you mean a string, a constant literal string, a literal
Yeah,
string.
just a literal string. Yeah.
Right. So very good and interesting question. You can do that in Java and many other languages. Yes.
Non C++.
But not
yeah.
C++.
Oh.
Because I think I tried that and it didn't work.
Alright.
Actually, in C++, it could work.
It could work
under a very specific circumstance.
under specific
okay?
circumstances.
Why under
Yeah. So
specific
so let's say your result string equals A plus B plus C plus D plus plus plus. You have a lot of these things. Yeah. And they're all within quotes. It's not going to work. But if you turn the first one into a real string, a real C++ string, then you'll find that everything works. Bam, like that instantly.
Oh, okay.
So what that means is that your quoted strings are not really treated as strings in C++. And that's the reason why it doesn't work. Okay. Unlike in other languages, your quoted strings within quotes in C++, they're not real strings. They are just memory addresses.
Yeah.
They're just pointers. So when you say, add pointers, it's just going to try and add pointers. And however, when you say add a pointer to a string, this one is already a string, but add a pointer to that, then C++ knows, hey, you know what? The first one is a string and that's a pointer. So let me convert the pointer into a string and then add it. So then it'll work. But if you didn't have any strings there, it's not going to work.
Okay.
Like dividing by a double to, like if you're dividing an integer by a double, you'll get a double output instead of a.
Yes, exactly. That's what it is. If you're dividing an integer by a double, you get a double. If you divide an integer by an integer, then you get truncation. That is exactly the same behavior. So if you add a pointer to a string, you get a string. But if you add a pointer to a pointer, you don't get anything.
So the other thing that I tried, and I was curious why it didn't work, was I multiplied it. I did actually import the math library for this, but specifically only for the floor function, which, so I just multiplied it by 10,000 because it's like 5 decimal places it asks for.
Oh,
multiply by 10,000, floor, divide by 10,000. That didn't work.
I know.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. Yeah. Okay. Because it's not always exactly 5 spaces and all.
Yeah.
Just use that convert that thing
I
that
think I might
modules.
Okay. Let me see if I can find what
it's
you're
very
talking
simple,
about.
very simple, and you'll use that so many times, right? That converting thing, you're going to be using that so many times later on. It's just 2 lines. It's easy to get.
So it's probably quest 3 then, right? Because that's what I'm talking about.
What is it? Is it 3? Maybe it's 3. Yeah. No, you said loops and all, so it can't be 3, but it must be 4.
Oh yeah, it's 4. Yeah. It's 4.
Yeah. Zebra.
But I don't think. I'm not really seeing anything about the. I mean, maybe I have to just I'll have to just wait, I guess. I don't know.
It's not in the spec sheet. It's in the modules.
I'm in the modules right now. In module 4.
So you have to look at in the modules. I think it's in there. Converting numbers to strings or something like that. It's in there somewhere. It's in the first couple of weeks.
Nice data conversion videos. That's the only thing close to that, I think.
I can post a link to it if you post in Reddit. I can find out what the link is, or someone else can too, right? There is I think it's in week 2 modules. Putting them. Oh, maybe.
I think it's the it's in that other professors like learning modules, right? Like,
Oh, yeah,
got it.
yeah. Isn't that what Adam was looking at? I thought Adam was looking at Losef modules.
I think no, I think he's looking at our Canvas module.
I was looking at our Canvas modules.
If you go to the syllabus,
yeah.
there is a link to another
Okay, hold on.
professor's. I forgot the name of the professor.
Michael
like,
Losef.
Yeah. And he has essentially a full module all the way to like the end of the course.
There, Walter.
There you
Walter
go.
just shared a link. Walter shared a link.
I'm not sure which one of those, but those are the modules for this class. So anything you need for this class will be there.
2A, that's the one. 2A. Let me see. And simple numeric statements, playing computers, console example, numeric types, floating point, type compatibility, typecasting, introduction, strings, string concatenation, user input, string conversions. Oh, formatting numbers. There you go. All right, this is the one I think. I'm gonna.
Include IO stream. That just prints the things as strings, which is not super helpful for me.
That one. I just pasted a link into the.
I think I'm on that website right now. Yeah, I'm on that right now.
No, the specific link.
That's where I am right now.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's not here. Wait a second. Let me go to the next one. Maybe it's the next one.
String conversions.
It's in there. It's one of those for sure. I thought it would be in. Let's try string conversion. Yeah, there it is. I see it now. It's string conversions. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also need. In fact, you don't need to format it. I'm just using the default conversion. So if you just do what is done in this module, you should be fine.
Wait, what are they doing to? Okay, converting numbers to string. They have O string stream. And then you just put the number into the string stream. Didn't I do that before? On something else? Yes.
You found it? You good now?
I mean, so you're saying if I use a string stream instead of two stringing, it'll work better?
Yes.
Okay.
Because two string, you don't know how it's converting it, right? It makes default assumptions about these things.
String stream, and then it's defined, and I just need to put this information from A into it, and then I just need to write the information from the string stream to the output. Or I could just actually, I could just, ooh.
Well, you shouldn't debug things. You shouldn't debug your code in class, okay? Because that means that you're shortchanging yourself. You won't be able to look into all the details. You're under pressure, right? So you can look at this later after class. You can take a look at it, and you can always post on Reddit and say, hey, I tried this, and we talked about this during the lecture, and I tried it on some fictitious program that you create, and it's not producing the desired output. What's going on? You can ask.
So if I return, is there a function in string stream to return the actual string?
Yes, you'll find that in that module tells you exactly how to convert a number into a string, turn it into a string.
Hold on, where is the? Okay, now it's okay, and that's the string. Okay, so you're asking for string.
Don't fix it now, right? Don't try to fix it now.
I'm trying to fix it now. I'm not going to. This is. I don't have anything else to do today, so I'm just going to do this and finish. I guess. Yeah.
And keep going ahead. If you're doing 4 and you finished it, keep going ahead.
I'll
5, 6,
probably do
7.
5 later today. I did 1, 2, and
Yeah.
3 on Tuesday, and then I did 4 yesterday.
Keep going
Okay,
ahead.
hold on.
And it doesn't matter even if you go into green. Okay, you're going to get credit for green and in 2B. Keep doing it. The only thing that I recommend really is by the way, everybody's free to quest at any speed they want. It's just that yeah, as long as you're not bursting, like doing stuff and then disappearing and then coming back, you'll be fine.
Okay.
You're just pressing intensely, you're good.
Oh, it's not capital string. I'm used to Java.
Yeah. Well, Adam is coding, so we shouldn't listen to him. All right. So you shouldn't. Yeah. But basically, I think we're there with everybody's questions have been answered. Yes. Everybody good? Awesome.
Can I ask a
Sadhvik, you have
quick
a question?
about submitting how to submit stuff in the quest, like whether to submit the mini quests one at a time as you finish them, or wait till you've finished all the mini quests and then submit all 3 files?
No. Do keep on doing them continuously, right? You can't, especially when you go into 2B and 2C, you can't wait until you finish the whole thing and submit it at the end. It'll never work. So
Okay.
what you have to do is just get the basic stuff, very basic thing. You may not even work. Just submit it and see what happens. See what response you get from the questioning system, and then try and fix it, resubmit. Fix it, resubmit. That's it. The only request is that when you fix it, make recent changes. That's all, because otherwise you could get sucked into the tempting loop of saying, I'm just going to make lots and lots of changes and see what works. That is not conducive to learning.
And it's okay if a quest is like 3 separate files to just work on the first one, submit the first one partway finished, and submit only one
No,
file?
you have to submit all 3, but
You have to submit all 3.
You have to submit all the files required for a quest. But usually you can, when you start it off, most of those, all 3 files may be empty. That's fine.
You're talking about which one again? You're talking, hold on. It's the 3rd one or the 2nd one maybe that has 3 files.
Quest?
Yeah, I was talking about the 2nd one.
Yeah,
you just
it has 3 files. You just do them separately and then just highlight all of them in your like folder browser window and then just drag them onto the all at the same time. It'll work.
Okay.
It's pretty safe. It's very easy to navigate the question site. I think if you have questions, just feel free to ask. We're all there 100% of the time to help you all out. We have, Walter, me, STEM tutors. There's so many other people and your classmates. We're all there 24 hours. Maybe if when I'm sleeping, maybe someone else is online and helping. That's what I've seen. In fact, a lot of people are questioning when I'm sleeping, right? So when I wake up in the morning and I look at the logs, I see like a whole bunch of submissions that's come in between 12 a.m. and 5 a.m., right? So a lot of people do the work that time. So feel free. Is that it? Sadhvik, you have a question?
Yeah, so I've been questing as well. So for quest 3, to be precise, I've written the code and it works fine for me. But when I upload it over there are no build errors. But when I look at the output is completely different. And I've tried using the input that you've given as well, and it works perfectly fine for me. But when I upload it over there, it just doesn't work, and I can't see what's happening there because everything's here. I only get the output. So
yes,
I don't know how to
just like in the real world. Right, customers, right? You don't buy a product and you don't know why they're not buying it, but you only know what your product is. So when you have a situation like that, feel free to take a screenshot of the output only, not the code, just the output, as long as it doesn't have passwords and all, and post it on the Reddit and say, hey, I'm doing this, and why I'm not getting the trophies, or why is it not working? Feel free to ask in the subreddit. Yeah.
No, but I'm getting the correct output when I'm trying in my computer. It's just that I'm not getting the correct output.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. You can ask exactly the same question on the subreddit. You can say, I have this program and it works fine on my computer, except on the questioning site, this is the output it's producing. Yes.
Okay. Sure.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure that'll be useful for lots of people, not just you. Many people,
Yeah.
I find are stuck in the same place, but only a few people have the, courage to ask in front of everybody else. But many people have exactly the same problem. And also you'll find that, some, Sadvik and Adam working on quest 3, quest 4, quest 7, they'll be all over the place. Okay. People will be all over the place, and does not matter. If you're in quest number 0 or module 0, data representation, that's fine. Everybody, that's the thing about this, my classes. Anytime, even if I come in week 6 or week 7, I still find people working here and there, right? People are working all over the place all the time. Your goal at any time should just be to move forward, but doesn't mean that you should, get bogged down and say, well, it's not working out, I'm just being stuck here. It's okay. Keep doing that every day, 2 hours. Suddenly you'll find you're unblocked. Bam, bam, you can keep moving forward. Okay. And so that's why people will be talking about later number requests sometimes in class 2. And you can always say, can we talk about, today's topic? That's fine. But otherwise, you'll see as we progress through the class, lots of people will be doing lots of stuff. Even when you're doing advanced stuff, there'll be people doing, less advanced stuff. Eventually, everybody learns everything. That's what I find. Okay, everyone learns at different rates. Everyone learns different things at different times. So not even different rates, right? They all learning at the same rate, but this person learns that first and this next, and that person the other way around. So you can't really tell. But what I find is that at some point, everybody picks up everything. So you shouldn't be marking or gauging your progress based on what other people are doing. Just keep enjoying the quests and working through them. And also the other thing you can consider doing right away is that build a portfolio of your subreddit responses on the subreddit on these problems right away. It's all public. It's all public. Imagine that later on, when you're going to interview at a company, xyz.com, which is like the world's best software company or something like that. Okay, you're interviewing there, and you say, well, rather than give you what lead code or some of these companies think about, there are all these companies out there that evaluate candidates, right? Because HR and hiring is actually a hard job, and there are companies that are devoted to just recruiting. There are companies that just do global talent search and pull these people together, and it's really hard. And many of these companies, in order for you to hire a really solid person, you yourself have to be solid, because unless you are really solid, you won't know the person you're hiring whether they know their stuff or not. Yes or no? Right? So there are all these recruiting companies out there. They say, I'll give you rock stars. I'll give you rock stars. I know these people, they're doing cool stuff. But the person that is offering them to you, or the person that screened them, if they're not solid, how much can you trust their validation of that person, right? So the better way to prove your worth to potential employers is to say, well, you know what, here I am. But you don't have to look at my resume or the place that I went to for my, university, college, or the companies that I worked at. None of that matters, because I actually have for you my Reddit handle. Just go and look at all the contributions I've done in my Reddit handle, starting from the time when I didn't know anything about computer science, right? I started with C++ without knowing anything about C++, and there I am, Reddit, and here, this is me after having learned C++. So that is gold mine information for a hiring manager. If I was a hiring manager again, right, back out there looking for people, and if I get to me a package, a zip file which says, here are all the submissions version by that student, starting from the time when they didn't know any C++, the very first program, and you can see how they learned, okay, what they did each time, a package of all of your submissions, along with your Reddit handle, saying not only do you know that technical competence, you can go to that Reddit handle and see how they deal with other people, how they interact with other people, how helpful they are to their fellow colleagues. Okay, that's the only information I need. I don't care if I have that from a good candidate, based on my experience, because I've had people that have gone to the top colleges in the world, I've interviewed them and so on and so forth. And what is a predictor of success in the company? The predictor of success is actually, I find none of that. Eventually I stopped looking at resumes and things like that. I just have conversations and interviews and working through problems to get a feel for how the person thinks. That's all you need. Okay. And so this basically gives it to them, right? So if you give this to a hiring manager and say, toss my resume out the window, right? Just look at my Reddit profile. And that's when I started to learn. And this is what I'm doing now. And every single along the way, you can look at how I've done this, right? How after I've learned something, I've taken the pain to explain that to someone else so that I can move on, right? And so on. So those are all very important for a hiring manager, because if I hire someone who is able to not just do their job well, but is able to explain the job to someone else, that means that I can now move on to another position, because that person who is able to explain things to other people can now do my job because they've managed to explain their job to someone else for them to do. Do you understand? So that basically sets the stage. So people that are able to interact and explain things to other people that they understand well already, they're hugely valuable to hiring managers. And so the two things that all the companies, employers out there look for: knowledge of the domain, and also how you interact with fellow colleagues that are intelligent. You have to, and intelligent, brilliant managers also are not going to look at how you interact with people that are not interested in the field. They'll only look at, because they know other people that are stars, they'll look at how you're interacting with other good people. So they'll look at how you are interacting in the forums, in the Reddit forums, with other top students. And they don't need to know that they're top students. They'll just look at the question asked by those students in the forums and say, well, that student asked a really interesting question. And this other guy who we were thinking of hiring has given a fantastic answer. So that's all I need. That is the clinching piece of information I need before I do the offer for that person. Because now I know not only that person good, but they're good enough to be able to explain it to other people and get them to do it. They're not hoarding their knowledge, saying, well, this is too precious, I can't give it out to other people. That's no use at all, because that means if someone is holding on to something and not willing to share it, that means they're not really sure of it. They don't know it well, right? If you know it well enough, you're willing to let it go because you have it. It's part of your brain anymore. Even if you give it out 1,000,000 times, it's still there in you. But if it's not there in you, then you're not going to give it out. You're just going to hoard it. So be free with your knowledge, and also be free to be wrong, because that's the other thing that employers and hiring managers look for, is people that are not afraid to be wrong in public. Okay. If people are not afraid to be wrong in public, they'll take risks and they'll be bold and say things. People who are afraid to be wrong in public, they are doomed to be wrong until they die, because they'll never get corrected. So just by being wrong out there, you're sending a powerful signal to your employer saying, I may have a lot of beliefs, but I'm willing to put them out there and find out if they're right or wrong. Yes. So be wrong, and being wrong in public is not something that comes naturally, right? Especially kids, people being wrong, they're being punished and all. No, people should be encouraged to be wrong. And so being wrong in public requires practice. And so take this opportunity, Reddit, all these places, right? Reddit is more guarded. You don't have to go to Stack Overflow and other places which are more public. Reddit is like just our class, right? So take this opportunity to be wrong there and say, well, that's what happens. And someone says no, and say, hey, thank you, I didn't realize that. Okay. And you can go to our sub and look at our conversations. You'll find so many conversations like that. Okay. Where a student has said something, some other student has corrected them. And this student, instead of being negative and escalating that into a flame war, you'll actually see a very beautiful conversation, right? That person saying, wow, I didn't really see that. And thank you so much for letting me know. All right. Now that means my programs can be an order of magnitude better from now on. That kind of conversation, you'll see a lot of those conversations on Reddit. Okay. And imagine how beautiful it would be if you package that into something that you're going to send to your recruiter, right? Your hiring manager. And if they look at that, and when I, as a teacher who's not going, you're not working for me, even if I get so much pleasure just looking at these conversations, imagine how much joy and anticipation and pleasant expectations of you they will have when they see something like that and think that, well, you know what, we're going to hire that person. So those are the things that I think you can start building up right away in 2A, because in 3 quarters or 5 quarters, you're going to be out there working and you need to have a solid portfolio, right? And computer science is an art. It's not like history or something else where this is just information that you're assimilating lots and lots of. And so when you go and work somewhere, they don't say, okay, where's your portfolio, right? So if you go on, or if you're an artist, graphic artist or someone, and you go and you're looking for employment, you need to go with a big folder, right? And say, this is my portfolio, take a look. And computer science is an art. You can't go and say, I want a software engineering job, I know everything, but I don't have a portfolio. It doesn't work. So a portfolio shouldn't just be just code, lots and lots of code and working. No, your portfolio should be your wholesome personality. It should be your technical knowledge, as also opportunities, the public opportunities where you interacted with other people on a technical level. And so Reddit will provide an opportunity to do that and use that to your advantage as you will be looking for jobs later on. I'm happy if at any point later on in your life, if you say, well, I'm applying to a job at this company, can you please zip up all of my Quest submissions from day 1 until Quest 9, make the a zip file of version all submissions and send it to me so I can send it to my recruiter, right? So they can take a look at it. Happy to do that, okay? Because I have all the data, everything from day 1. So that's why I run all these data crunching jobs to get, if you don't complete Quest 6 by this time, 67.5% chance you'll get a C+, right? How do I know that? That's because I have data from 2019. Adam just said,
I debugged everything. I finally finished.
Oh, debugged. Okay.
Yeah, I finally got it to, well, I got the GP thing to work. The string stream totally fixed it. And then I was having a pretty similar issue, I guess, with the Fibonacci one, even though my solution on paper worked, but now it actually works.
So that's great. My only recommendation for everybody, including Adam, is not to code during class, except unless you're coding something we're doing in class, don't code, especially not quests. Okay, quests you can just get sucked into it, and you can don't.
I didn't bring it up until the end of class when we were like not talking about.
Thank you for that.
I do have one more question though, and that is about headers, because that is not something that exists in Java. So what is the function of header files, and why do I need them?
I would very much like to address that next class when we start coding. Is that okay?
Okay, that's totally fine. Yeah.
Well, when we start coding, we'll do header files, all these things, and yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
What time is it now?
It's 10:20.
Wow, it's 10:23. You guys don't have other classes?
I don't. No.
Wow. Okay. All right. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you so much for humoring me and your sticking around. Walter, especially, right? Because he's only being paid for 2 hours. Well, I don't know. I don't know how many hours they pay you, but certainly you are not obliged to stick around. So thank you all. Thank you all. Okay. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. And please don't let this slip your mind until Tuesday. I know a lot of 2A students basically say Thursday. Okay, after Thursday, no more computer science until Tuesday next week. Okay, don't do that. Continuously, every single day, set an alarm, set a timer or something like that. Reminder, every day you have to code for at least 2 hours. Okay, even if it doesn't feel like it's productive, even at the end of the time, you feel, oh, well, I coded for 2 hours, I didn't get anything out of it. Fine, okay? It's just that you think you didn't get anything out of it. Because sometimes there's so many things that happen at a microscopic level that we can't tell. So you may think that nothing happened, but something actually did happen in your brain. Okay, so keep doing 2 hours a day, and you'll find that over time, the little bit adds up. And then after 15 days, you'll say, you know what, I couldn't notice a small bit of progress every day, but 15 times that progress, now I can see, bam, like that. So you got to keep doing that every single day, 2 hours. Okay, and you'll find it's totally worth it. And I'll be able to help you all the way through, all the way 2C and beyond too. I'm happy, right? Even after I retire, what am I going to do, right? I'm advising a couple of companies, but even after I retire, if you guys are doing a company or you need some advice or algorithmic stuff, just send me an email. You will set up a Zoom call like this, private Zoom, and I can guide you through things. Okay, I'm already doing that for a couple of students, ex-students. So. All right. Thank you all. Thank you all so much. All right. I'll see you on Tuesday. Have a fantastic weekend. Coding weekend.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Bye.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
Okay.